it says go to safety and cinemas.
Hello, Internet. So. Hello, everyone on the Internet. Hopefully you can hear us. The notification has just come through that we are live, apparently. Let us know in the chat. There's a few people in the chat room already, if they can hear us. We have got everybody sitting there. How many are there? There's 4 of us, right? So we could probably do this. Except that bottom one needs to be fixed because I'm chopping someone off. And that one is probably there. There. Oh, look at that. That's just pleasurable. That looks nicer. I like that. We don't need the 6. I don't think we've got a 4th caller today, so it's good. My poor internet is going to struggle. Okay, so who wants an update to what craziness happened from last week with all the glitchiness? We can cover this on the pre-show because I think everyone that sort of hangs around the pre-show will kind of know the background. So ended up, I mean, you guys who talk to me on Discord will know the answer anyway, but it ended up being a Windows reinstall, complete, fresh, clean install. Not like you know how you've got 3 options when you install Microsoft Windows, with Windows 10 this is. So the clean install is literally, whoa, what happened there? I'm still talking, but nobody can see me. My camera, did it go off or something, did it?
Oh, the clean install didn't work.
Oh, that's going to be wonderful, isn't it? There we go. Camera shut off. Okay, so I've got a new camera too. And I'm still getting to use it. Now the camera that I'm using, actually I should digress. The camera that I'm using is a Sony Alpha or A6100. It's a 4K with attachable E-mount lenses on it. I just wasn't happy with the webcam, so I changed it a few weeks ago to another camera, and that was really gritty. So now I've got the Sony, and I don't know if you guys, does it look a bit clearer? Look, I've got probably some lighting stuff I could sort out to get my face a bit brighter and things like that, but tell me if that looks a bit clearer at your end. I don't know if you need to see detail in my ugly mug, but I think it's nicer to have a clearer camera. It seems to be smoother and everything about it. Apart from that, it just shut down just then, and I hope it doesn't do that in the show. But anyway, so yeah, Windows reinstall, clean install. And then obviously, if you've ever done a Windows reinstall, you've got to start from scratch from a clean install. You've got to put all the software back on, one by one by one. You can't go through backups or anything like that, because if you do, you run the risk of reintroducing whatever it was that was causing if it was a driver issue, if it was a kernel issue, if it was anything like that. So you have to sort of start from scratch. And so far so good. So no glitchiness. Everything seems to be running okay. Still exactly the same hardware, nothing changed that side of it. So yeah, everyone cross your fingers. Hopefully we don't have any more technical issues. But yeah, so far it seems to be some sort of glitch in the Windows system that just didn't want to unglitch itself. And yeah, here we are, another week. So yeah, I don't wish that on anyone, by the way. Because I spent the first week thinking it was a hardware problem, and then I spent the last week reinstalling Windows and reconfiguring everything. I guess the good news from that though is that you can put stuff back on that you need, and then it gets rid of all the crap that you probably forgot that you installed. Do you know what I mean? So it's a good thing. It's like cleaning out your synth cupboard and putting stuff on eBay. Ah dear. Right. So hello everyone. We've got, we'll introduce everyone formally once the show starts. We've got Henrik below, JX3D, and we've got Grey Wolf 2004 RU. Let's just call him Oleg because that's easier, right? And he's the Blue Arp guy, if you're wondering who he is. And we'll pick his brains about that soon. And then, I don't know who this guy is here. He's some guy, he hangs around every week. You haven't met him before, that's Darren. So we'll introduce everyone formally, but big thank you for you guys coming on. I do understand it can be a little bit daunting coming onto a live stream and you don't know who's watching you, so you kind of get a little bit fearful. I always get nervous. Every show I get nervous, so don't worry too much. We're all in the same boat. And big hello to all the chatties. Now, I made a few changes to the show setup, so I can just just less things to sort of go wrong. So now with the chatties, when I show the chat window, it's literally just going to be that. But I've managed to get, because it's a reinstall, if we need to tag anything, like, can we tag? There we go, that was a good one to tag. And if we tag that, and then I can go to here, and hopefully this works. It's not working. I wonder why it's not working. Well, we'll still have got a few gremlins, like obviously. We'll see if we can sort it out. But anyway, we'll try and see if we can fix that someplace during the show anyway. So, yeah. Now, I'm hearing Facebook beeping at me. Why is that? Oh, Dean's coming. So we can put him in. No problems. He's just saying it's going to be a bit late. Right. Okay. We got one more guest coming on, so we'll probably go to that view once we get Dean on, and then we'll sort of have everyone here. Hopefully my internet holds up. How are we going for time? 5 minutes before the show starts. Okay, cool. How's everyone been? Anyway, good?
Yeah, not bad, not bad.
Is it still really cold and snowing and stuff like that where you are, or is it sort of kind of warming up slightly?
It's warming up a bit now. It's still cold in the wind, but it's about, I think we're about 13, 14.
Yeah.
So, yeah. We might get another blast of cold yet, though.
Yeah. What about in Russia, Oleg? What's the weather like up there? Is it cold or? Oh, he's muted. It's not my end, your end. You're muted, mate. So if you can sort your audio out for within the next 6 minutes. Human Era says it's a nice sunny day in the southeast. I'm guessing it's southeast of England. I guess. I actually don't know.
Is it any better?
Oh yeah, we can hear you now.
So yeah, I changed the mic setting. So it was extremely cold, like for the past 2 weeks. Like it's warming up and it's like -5.
Okay, -5. Wow, that is cold.
Yeah, but I like skiing, so I hope it won't get to like 0. It will at least keep -5, so I'll have some skiing this weekend.
Right. Is that because it becomes slushy? Like because the snow starts to melt? Is that why you don't like it to get a bit hotter?
Yeah, it starts to melt. It doesn't glide very well actually. So ideal for skiing is like -10. This is just perfect.
Fantastic. And do you have a lot of mountains around you, or is it kind of cross country skiing that you're talking about?
Actually, here in Moscow, it's not much. There are like spaces where you can pay money and have like mountain skis this kind of way. But I will go to my wife's hometown, and there's a forest around, and you can have really nice skiing just in the forest.
Awesome. What about in sunny Denmark, Henrik? Is it nice there?
It's nice now. No, it was nice last week too. For about a month we have had below 0. The wind was from east. Now it turned, so now it's about 10 degrees, or getting there.
Yeah.
So, but I like the cold. So it's a little sad. This is more grey and rainy. I would rather like cold,
Dry-
clear weather,
dry, cold, yeah.
snow.
Yeah. Cool. All right. 3 minutes to go before the show. We've talked weather. We've talked Windows reinstalls and cameras turning off. People are wondering what this is. You guys should know what this is. So we will talk about that in a minute. I'll give you a bit of a closer look. There you go. You guys should know what this is here. Well, this light is in the way. It's annoying, this light. Let's get rid of it. It's the Behringer version of the ARP 2600, and it's plugged in. There you go. So we will have a little chat about that. It's not really what the show's about today. And we are going to be talking about...
it wasn't coming till March.
Well, so I'll talk about what happened with the ordering and stuff later, so I don't want to give it away. But I ended up changing some stuff and I got it quicker. So yeah, I have only had it for a little while. It's only came in during the week, and I'm impressed. But I have never owned an ARP 2600 before, and a lot of us. So the only relationship I've ever had with an ARP 2600 has been by listening to them either on YouTube or in recordings, in music, especially some of my favourite musicians. And you guys know that I'm a big ARP 2600 fan, so it really had to do something pretty bad for me not to like it. It had to be like, it would have had to have sounded like a DX7 or something.
As far as I remember, Marshall has the Korg reissue.
Marshall has the grey one, does he?
So you could... he has not from Behringer, but from Korg, if I'm not mistaken. So you could talk about that once.
Oh, your camera's glitching.
Yeah.
Yeah, no signal again.
It might be something setting that I haven't actually set properly, like an auto shut off, or maybe it's overheating, I don't know. We'll have to sort that one out. It's new, we'll keep an eye on it. Right, okay, we're going to hit the show. Let's do it now. This button here.
Oh, you did it. All I'm trying to tell you is this.
What happened to that? That's weird. Hello, everyone.
We've all shot.
You got the Black Show. Welcome to the virtual analog synthesizer version of our streaming synths geekery show. This is episode number 104. It's February the 20th. Wow, February the 20th. I can't believe the COVID thing has still hanging around like a bad smell, and here we are. We've got another basically 2020 still, but hopefully there's some good news down the path with all these inoculations happening. Hopefully you guys are staying well. Now we've got quite a bit to go through today in today's show. Obviously we're going to be talking about virtual analog synths. I'm not going to be talking much personally about it. Hopefully the guests here can talk about their experiences. We've got a few things to show. We've got some news, we've got some funny stuff. So, but without further ado, I think we should introduce our guests first. Here they are. We've got another one coming. He's running a bit late, but we'll start with, we'll go from left to right. We'll start with Darren. How's your week been? Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, it's been good. I've been busy doing bits in the studio. In fact, I've only just this second got in, really. Bit cold to do too much stuff that I want to do outside to cut and stuff, but other than that, yeah, been doing for those who watched the video last week, I've been doing the roadmap to the album. So I've been working on the track FRB. There's a couple of other tracks I've got in mind to do, finishing off another 2 of the tracks, and just trying to get this whole album how I want it. So there's a few tracks I've got in mind to do, there's a few I've got to finish, and there's one I'm working on. Other than that, it's been a packed week.
Lots of music. That sounds exciting anyway. All right, we'll move on to the next guest. We've got Oleg. How's your week been? Thanks for joining us.
Hi, thanks for having me. Well, my week is okay, and this show topic is pretty exciting for me because in my kind of music life, I had a lot of swing between analog plugins and virtual analogs. So yeah, want to hear the opinions of other guys
Yeah,
and
it's going
share
to be
my
good.
experiences with it.
It's going to be good. Now, if you're wondering who you're looking at here, this is Oleg. He's the guy that is the manufacturer or developer of the Blue Arp. It's like a little VST plugin, and now it's also a hardware version that's still in beta. It's almost going to be available for everyone. We'll talk about that a little bit later, but that's who he is. Now, who else we got? We've got Henrik, or JX3D as everyone knows him. How you going? How's your week been? Thanks for joining us.
It's been busy. The day job and accounting for the company, the music. But it's done now, and next week will only be a work week. Day job.
Fair enough.
But it's been a good week.
And tell us what your T-shirt says again. It's something about springtime and going to the movies or something.
Oh, it's two flies mating, and then it says it's mating time, and it's about, on the back it says go to safety, go to the cinema. So it was a campaign the cinemas did 30 years ago, I think.
Right. So it's a bit of a retro shirt. Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
But you could also call it a Behringer T-shirt with clones.
Fair enough.
Cloning.
Oh, he'll steal it. Don't worry. If it's going to make him money, he'll steal it. That's awesome. Right. Let's also say hello to the chatties. We've got heaps of chatties here. Big thank you to all the chatties who have joined us. Now, I am going to try my hardest to get through this in a nice, orderly fashion. First person who jumped into chat, according to my records here, is JP Page 2. Big hello to you from the east coast of the USA. Wow, that is going to be what? About 9 a.m. over there. Wow, fantastic. Native VS, evening to you. Wagoo's there. Human Error, big thank you for your super chat as well, mate. Native ATOZ or ATOZ, big hello to you. Keith in Watford, good to see you back, mate. Mike Delix there. Good to see Azio Head, Corrosive Abuser. Mega Mark's there. Big hello to you. Thanks for staying up late, mate. The old Sydney man. Who else we got? Ping Pong 85. Fantastic. Good to see you. And Chris Synthient's there. He's woken up nice and early. Good to see you there. We will definitely be having a little talk about the ProSynth network a little bit later, so it's good that you're there. Inky's there. Big hello to you, Inky. My camera's just gone dead again. What else we got? Always technical issues, isn't there? Always technical issues. What can you do? Max there. Good to see you, mate. What else? Everyone seems to be chatting each other, and I just always get to this point where it just scrolls and scrolls and scrolls and scrolls, and I've probably forgotten. There's Stephen Nernick. I don't know how to pronounce that, Stephen. So, but he's from Belgium. A big hello to all the Belgian people. It's fantastic to have you here. Inverted Popes is there. Who else we got? Sonic Link Stuff. Fantastic. Hi. Haven't seen you before, and it's a big welcome to you. And let us know where you're from, what part of the world. We've also got Sasquatch. Good to see you again, mate. And Andrew Brooks, Andy, big hello to you. Andy's probably going to come back next week, so he's had his little hiatus from the show. Richard Groltz is there. Good to see you again. And I'm probably getting right towards the end when it's time to throw the synth at the stream. Oh, we've got a few people jumping in at the last second. We've got Inner City Toad. Hello there. Big hello to you. And John's there. Tom, how you going, mate? Haven't seen you for a while. Good to see you back. And yeah, Sonic Link said he's from Chester in the UK. Big hello to all the people from Chester. What a cool place that is. I've actually been there. Now, my camera's not working again. Yay. I should probably switch to my webcam. I'll just restart it. There we go. Hello, hello, hello. You don't have to look at me anyway. Let's get on to our normal segments. We are going to start with this one. It's a bit of humour. Yes, well, I sometimes say that you've reached the end of the internet because at that part of the world, you find these really weird things. And this one's from Berg. Big hello to you, Berg, if you're watching, probably on the replay. Let's get this one a bit bigger. I like this one. There's a bit of a religious satire here for you. So no matter how many synths you get, you'll still make crap music. They hated him because he told the truth. Oh dear, that's a bit hard hitting, isn't it, that one? All right, what else we got? We have got this one. That's the wrong one. Hang on. This one. Jack, please tell me those 3 words that give you butterflies in your stomach and get you all excited. This one's for you, Darren.
It's never out for Gerald, was it?
That's why you get excited when you actually hear it. Right. That was sent in by Andrick, who's actually here. He's got a couple of these he's sent through. There's going to be a few coming up over the next few weeks for sure. He's given us quite a lot to choose from. I wonder why Lucy doesn't come around anymore. Check out the Eurorack module there. Yeah, cats, synths, and no friends. Oh, that's not very nice. Oh, this one. Who can do a Madonna voice? What are you looking at? That's great. I love that. Whoever did that, they did a great job of that. And you've got, if you haven't worked out whose face that is, that's the man himself, Mr. Moog, Mr. Bob.
Moog.
Yeah, Mr. Moog. Anyway, gentlemen, what was your favourite this week for the crusty Meegs from the end of the internet?
Don't matter how many synths you have.
Yeah, you still want more. Yep. Is that what you're saying? Or you still haven't got any friends?
No, my music.
Somewhere along the line, someone said, if you buy synths, you get friends. No, I don't think there's ever said that. All right, let's get on to the news. Now, we do have some cool news happening this week. Let me just get my... Well, we'll roll the stinger anyway. Let's do this one. And we are at the news, and we've got a different background this week. Yay! Just for shits and giggles anyway. First off the rank is this weird looking thing. What's this? Why am I showing cases from Eurorack? Well, I do like ALM Busy Circuits. I think they're a good company, and they've brought this thing out. It's actually a DIY case. Now, don't worry, Darren. You will not need a soldering iron for this. All you need is a Phillips head screwdriver, and you can make yourself an 84 HP 3U case. It also comes with a power supply, and it can fit...
It looks like there is a place where you can solder next to the big square one.
Could be, yeah. Oh, you mean next to the logo?
Yeah. Oh, next to the logo. Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Isn't it a chip or something?
I'm not really sure.
Oh, rectifier. It's a rectifier.
Could be, yeah. Could be a big Reggie.
It's a power supply. Yes.
Yeah, so it's got a 1 amp power supply that comes with it. Now, it also includes, it comes as a flat pack, so it's like IKEA, right? And it also comes with, all you need to bring is a screwdriver, 1 amp power supply. You could fit up to 16 modules in there with that 1 amp sort of power supply thing, and obviously with the amount of power outlets you've got there. It has M3 threaded strips, no sliding nuts, 42mm deep modules maximum. So obviously it's a little bit shallow, but as long as you don't put some of those really sort of deep TU sort of thing. The noise that's coming is coming from Dean, so I'm just going to pop Dean down a little bit. Dean, we'll see you in a sec, mate.
It's outside.
He's just giving us. He's just giving us a thumbs up. Anyway, so let's go to here. What do you guys think of the ALL? Actually, let's not go to there. Let's go to here because Dean's here now. Hey,
Hey, hi.
we'll come to say
Dean.
good day to you in a sec, Dean. What do you guys think of the ALM Busy Circuits CS001 DIY case? Is that something that you get? I can tell you that's £162 and you can get it through Thonk. Is that how you say it? Is it Tonk or Thonk? I think it's Thonk, isn't it? They're a UK business. Someone will correct me in the chat. Anyway, who's keen to get one of these? It's pretty cheap. It's cheaper than a nifty case.
It'll come in handy. I'm just moving across. I'm out of
Yeah, because we're going to use this now because Dean's here. So that's all right. We'll persevere. I mean, I'll go to sort of the big shot of you anyway. Right. Okay. Shall we keep going? Dean, I'll come back to you in a sec after we've just finished the news because we've kind of cracked into the news already. So we have got now this. Now, obviously, we all have heard this because most of us watch Sonic State and blah blah blah. Mutable instruments beads. Okay. So I did want to talk about this. Why? Because it's a little bit sad and it's also a little bit cool at the same time. What's sad is I've heard that this is possibly the last module. Whoa, that is not me. That was from Dean again. So yeah, that's a bit sad, I think. And so what is the beads? If you don't know what this is and you're not into Eurorack, it's actually it's kind of like a live granular processing module for modular or Eurorack. And it is based on their original Clouds module, but with a twist. So it's not exactly a Clouds because you can still get Clouds as sort of third-party versions of it. What it does is it processes incoming audio signals with a control to trigger and schedule sort of grains, and you can divide or randomize these grains in spray bursts and using gates and triggers. So it's kind of like a real sort of cool granular thing, and it does it live. So it offers like a chaos thing with a Attenu randomizer. There's a bit of a name for you, which is like an attenuverter, but offers some sort of randomization. So that's going to be cool to sort of play with. And you can spread these beads. She's calling it beads because they're kind of like the grains, I guess. Plus it also offers some character control to change the audio quality settings. There's also a delay engine with control of density, time, seed, shape and pitch. $299 US, and we can, if I just close that off there, we should be able to have a little looky at the video here. Right, now, I think it's this button. Oh. It's a bit quiet, isn't it? What I'll do anyway is, I think it's just the video is just a little bit quiet for us to get a good listen to it. I think what we'll do is we will, I'll link it into the description in a sec. But yeah, what do you guys think of the beads? Oops, I should go to this one, shouldn't I? Because Dean's there. Who wants to have a quick comment about the beads? You've had a bit of a look during the week. Anyone want to make a comment about it? Who's gassing for beads?
I'll probably collect it since I've got quite a lot of mutable instrument stuff. So it's like I say, it's a different version of Clouds in a way, isn't it? Yeah, it looks interesting. It's always nice to have something that you can, if you like a little bit of granular. So I might be interested in it.
Cool. I mean, the fact that it's Darren, the fact that it's the last module from Mutable Instruments.
Yeah,
that could be another reason why you get it.
Yeah, probably, because it'd be sad, won't it, if that's the last ever Mutable Instruments module. But yeah, so I suppose they'll do like everyone will be going out to buy it if it's going to be the last one.
Yeah. Anyone else want to have a quick comment about the beats before we go on to the next? I know some of you guys aren't really Eurorack people. Dean's about to be. Oleg's not. Anyone else? Or we move on?
Although he needs to be.
Yeah, I'm not at all. I'm interested in granular synthesis. It's kind of one of the things that I was missing over the years, and someday I want to get into it as well. But yeah, as I got it, it's more like effects processor, not the granular synth. So yeah, I'd be more interested in a synth.
Yeah, it's not.
But
it's
in
not a
general,
synth.
mutable. Yeah, in general, mutable instruments are cool. I'm tracking their modules, and I like their concept of this open hardware, and they publish all the circuitry and everything.
Yep, that is a cool thing that they do.
And I will try to stay low on the Eurorack. I have a little bit. Let's see. And above that, there will be space for the 2600. That's about what I want. Some effects and not more. Yeah.
Fair enoughy. All right, let's keep going with the news. We also are going to be checking a little bit about this thing. I'm sure you guys heard about this. So I've got the older version of this. It's called the Metropolix, and I got mine used not that long ago. And now they brought out this new one called the Metropolix. If you're wondering what this is a Eurorack module. No, this is not a Eurorack show. Don't worry, I've got other things to show that's not just Eurorack, but there is a bit of Eurorack stuff today. Anyway, this is the successor to the Metropolix, which I mentioned, and I don't know if you guys know, but it's the actual Metropolix sequencer was actually originally based on the Roland 185 sequencer, which came from the System 100M, probably my favorite modular type synth. So the Metropolix offers 2 channels, so this is why it's new. It offers 2 channels of sequencing tracks, and it also has a 3rd modulation sequencer. The cool thing about it is both tracks can be run independently, so they can literally have a different time signature and everything like that, or not. You could have them running, in quantization. Plus, there's also an option for creating complex polyrhythms in there. There's a heap below this. Why don't I shut up and we'll have a little look at Intellijel's little vid, and we'll go from here. I'm going to turn that off first. Boom. There we go. Right, there you go. It's got a lot happening in this. So who wants to have a crack at this one? Who wants to have a comment about it's a sequencer. So you need obviously other modules to make sounds out of it, but anyone interested in this?
Yeah, this is what I wanted before I bought the Metropolix.
Yep.
If you know what I mean. This is what I want. But yeah, I think that'll go well next to the Metropolix. It gives you 3 channels bit expensive way of doing it, but I think it'd be quite cool.
What is it about this that, Darren, that makes you kind of want this instead of the, well, not instead of the Metropolix, but like you just said, you would have preferred this. What is it about it?
I just like, well, for a start, the 2 channels running independently, which is great, and just all the extra little nuances that they've added to it as well. The little LCD screen, the more inputs you can get in it, and obviously like the 2 channels running separately, because obviously the Metropolix is basically a single gate and single CV pitch, and it was quite expensive, even though it's cool and it's very hands-on, and you can sit there for hours. I don't know about you, Rand, but you can sit there for hours just coming up with little noodles of melodies and things. But it just always felt like you wanted more channel outs, even just one more. So if I put that with the Metropolix, that would be cool. But like I say, it's an expensive way to get to the outs on a sequencer, but it could be quite fun.
Yeah. Now, I didn't mention that. Well, actually, we'll go to the picture of it because it's paused on the video anyway. Couple of things I liked about it that I don't know. You guys can make your own opinion, but there's 2 control knobs there, Control 1 and Control 2, and they're both completely assignable. There's a massive big long list that you can assign those to. And you notice down the bottom, actually, what I would if you're actually interested in this and gassing after this, I would thoroughly recommend that you check out the Loop Hop video that came out when they released this. He actually goes into quite a lot of detail about what all the features are. But down the bottom, you've got these this row of LEDs, and they're color coded. And there's also a shift. So there's kind of like 2 functions, and there's a shift function to them as well. And that actually has a lot of power behind it. So yeah, I just think, plus the fact that it's got a modulation track as well, Darren, which I think is like technically a 3rd track, I think that kind of makes this thing pretty powerful. Anyone else want to have a talk about it? It's $579 US, and I don't know if you noticed, but there is a little expander module just to the left of it called the GX, which is a gate expander. You don't have to get it; it's not essential, but that's another $69 US if you want that. And I believe they're available now, and you can order them now. Anyone else want to make a comment, or should we move on to the next?
I can make some comment on its predecessor, the Metropolix, because as a developer of WillowISP, I'm always trying to track what's happening in the hardware sequences world and plugins world. And I remember when the Metropolix came out, I saw some review on YouTube, and this thing immediately caught my attention because of these individual per step controls for pulse count, for kind of step type like muted or gate or rest of a previous step or something like this. So you have everything on the interface to kind of to configure the pattern, and this is pretty unique about this.
Yeah, and that was in the Metropolix, but obviously they've carried that through, so that's still in the new one as well. So that they've kept that in there. I think it'll be blasphemy if they got rid of that. That's the main part of it, isn't it? Beautiful. All right, we also have, like I said, it's not just Eurorack days. We also have some other interesting things. What is this? Well, this is WISP, and it's a MPE controller made by WillowISP, and it features a new expressive device based on the Sensor Morph touchpad, and it gives you a control over pitch, timbre, and volume for each note. Now, it's an isomorphic key layout. This is what I thought was interesting. So if you, Henrik, you probably would like this, right? If you want a big sort of chord thing, right, and you want to have expression with those chords, you've got each sort of row is an octave, so you can reach a lot more octaves with this layout. I'll show you the video in a sec. And because it's MPE support, it gives you that kind of expressiveness. So you're going to sort of be able to do massive spreaded octave range chords. You've only got 10 fingers. I guess you could chuck your toes up there as well and get more notes. But the fact is, MPE is cool fun. Like, I don't know if you guys have used Rolly C boards or instruments or anything like that. They are awesome fun to play with. And what I'll do is I'll just quickly cross to here and we'll have a little look at what he
Features
says.
a full range 7-octave layout without having to shift up or down octaves with buttons or pages or any of that nonsense. It's fully isomorphic, MPE ready, extremely velocity sensitive, and most importantly, it's insanely responsive and easy to pitch bend for intuitive and expressive vibrato and slides. It also has fully tactile soft keys covered with ultra low friction fabric, so you can slide between notes effortlessly. And this focus on functional materials is not just for the keys, but for the entire instrument, from soft ultra suedes on the borders to highly visible note labels to a pure silk palm rest, so your whole hand can slide, while being completely supported and kept in the perfect position for playing. And all of these features are not cosmetic or to make an impressive feature list. They're a comprehensive design that works together to help you actually make music, and combines into the most expressive musical instrument possible. And that is the problem we have right now in the music.
All right, so you starts going off on a little bit of a rant. I'll link the rest of that video. You guys can watch it later. $650 US, available now. You can order it, and it's WillowISPLabs.com if you want to go check that out. I'll chuck that in the chat in a second. But yeah, who wants to comment on that? Who's a big MPE person for a start? Henrik?
I'm not a big MPE person yet. I have equipment which can do it, but I haven't got into it yet. But this one looks pretty cyberpunk-like, and I like that. So just for that, I may buy it or not.
Yeah. I mean, like, what in terms of the materials that he used, it looked a little bit sort of homemade, didn't it, when you looked at it? But then he explains why he's making the cover the way it is. And I mean, one of the biggest criticisms with a Rolly Seaboard is that, you know, your fingers can get stuck in that sort of foamy sort of thing that it's on. And he was kind of making a point where you're more gliding, and the fact that it's got silk palm rests, all these things kind of would be some sort of, you know, mechanical engineering sort of thought. What do you guys think about that? It does look prototype, yeah. As your head said, yeah, I kind of feel it does as well. It's a cool looking thing. I mean, maybe it needs a bit more of an industrial designer to come at it, but he's selling this thing now, so this is this is what it looks like.
Has it got CV?
So it's MIDI. It's MIDI based. So it's MPE MIDI based. Right. Yeah. So it uses USB. There is a I don't know if you saw in the video just towards the end. He's got his I think it was his Ableton push there, and above it he had the screen and he had some software. There is some companion software with it as well, which gives you a visualization. It doesn't configuration, I think, to a degree, but the whole thing is pretty much just a controller. So the noob question is, does it make any sounds? No, it doesn't. Right, we should go on to the next. I think it's this one. Yes. Now this was interesting. So you guys may have heard of the Baloran guy. He's made prototype synths before. So this is a new one that's come out, and he's going to call this the Pool. It was actually called something else in its prototype stages, which is why he's put that yellow sticker over it. But it's a hybrid synth. He's a French developer. It's going to offer 2 analog VCOs plus 2 digital oscillators. It looks like it may have, we don't really know the full details of this yet because he hasn't really sort of gone into it. But just looking at the screen grabs in the video you'll see in a sec, it looks like it may have some sort of additive sensors in it. I'm not really sure. 4 filters, 2 per mix, 12 dB and 24 dB, plus its bandpass and high pass on the other 2. 4 envelope generators, 3 LFOs, 4 channel 16-step sequencer and arpeggiator. I don't really know how many voices this has got, and I don't really know anything more about it. If you live in France and you go to Synthfest in June, if it's actually running, you'll be able to go check it out because he's going to show it there. But let's have a little listen. You can see there it was originally called the Machine, but yeah, he's changed it to the Pool. But anyway, let's go to this one. My camera's gone off again. Yay, more technical problems. Yeah, who wants to have a quick comment about this one, the Pool?
I mean, I can
I like that Machine.
You go first, Darren.
Yeah, look, I'll tell you what, it looked quite cool in your rack.
Yeah. I don't know if you noticed, but he didn't actually have any knobs on his potentiometers. So if I just quickly go back to that, they've all been taken off. So there's actually knobs missing, and he's actually just turning the actual raw shaft to the pot there. So
it's wider than 19-inch.
Yeah, it's big. This is a big thing because you can see the key step, and you can see that the key step is easily, like, not even the full length. You can see it's on the corner there. So yeah.
Well, he needs to make it 19-inch.
Anyone in chat know anything more about it? Does anyone know how many voices this thing's got? How many did the River had? The River was the one that he did before, wasn't it? I think it was all analog, the River, from memory. And I don't know how many people.
8.
Yeah. Well, the fact that it's 4-channel 16-step sequencer, maybe the 4-channel is leading to maybe it's only 4 voice. I don't know. I really don't know. Someone will tell us. The River had 8.
I can't say much about the sound, but I like the visual appearance very much. So I think it has kind of 70s science fiction Starship Control Panel flavor to it.
Yeah. It's definitely got that sort of industrial look to it, doesn't it?
Has it got a beam me up button?
yeah, probably. The other thing I should mention too. Where's that graphic gone? It actually is a touch screen as well, I believe. So there's you've got all those sort of hand controls on the left and up the top, and the sequencer bits up the top. On the left is kind of all your oscillators and filters and EGs and stuff, and in that middle part is touch screen, and you've got some macros around it as well. Sorry, is the sequencer on the right or is it at the top? I forget. Anyway, I think you could probably work out which one. Whichever's got 16 knobs will be the sequencer. So there you go.
It does look quite cool and different, I must admit.
Yeah. I don't know if I've seen a synth. Has anyone seen a synth look like that before? I mean, it's kind of a bit similar to the Quantum. What's the desktop version of the Quantum? The Iridium, isn't it?
The Iridium.
It's kind of similar-ish to that, but different again. Anyone else kind of think? Anyone in chat think that it looks similar to anything?
Yeah, Star Trek. I'm sure seeing that on the Enterprise in the 70s.
Waiting for the beam me up. Beautiful. All right. Next we've got. Let's go to this one. We'll just quickly get through it. Now today in Price Watch, I don't know why that stopped. The glitches are back. We're not going to do any scammy or rip-offs this week. What we're going to do is we're going to show prices of virtual analog synths, and it might be a good segue into the rest of the next section that we've got coming up. So let's start with this one. This is a Nord lead, or clavier Nord lead, if you want to call it that. And where's my little thing gone? I've lost track of where I am. Here we go. I'll just make that a bit bigger. So this is on Reverb right now. This guy is in, I can't even read it, Billinghurst in the UK, and you can pick up, just halve it if you want your pounds, guys, if you're in England. So it's about £500 for a Nord lead. This is the original one. The clavier Nord lead, we'll talk about this a little bit later. So this is just give you guys a bit of an idea of how much these early virtual analog synths are selling for now, used, of course. Just remember too, 1995, it's quite a long time ago, so we'll keep going. So this is the next one, which is an Access virus. This is the first Access virus they ever brought out, the Virus A. This is obviously a desktop version. I couldn't find a keyboard version currently listed. These are currently listed on Reverb right now. And so this is about £415. It's not bad for an Access virus. Some will remember the specs of this, but yeah, it's probably about, people are probably saying that's probably about the right price for that. I do know that viruses, like the more recent versions like the TI2 and stuff like that, sell for a lot more. Okay, what else we got? This one seems to be one of the most favourite VAs of all time, according to a few people that I know. So what are we looking at here? About £650 for this. And whereabouts is this one? This one is in France. So yeah, JP 8000 for those massive super saws, hey? And I don't know if this really qualifies as a VA, but it definitely qualifies as one of the earlier digital synths, doesn't it? The Synclavier. This is not the first Synclavier though. This is, I think, is that a Synclavier? Well, it's a Synclavier 3, I think, isn't it? The 3200. Anyway, someone will tell us. There's probably Synclavier heads out there, but £15,000 for a Synclavier, that's probably what they're worth.
In the text it says Synclavier 2.
It is a Synclavier 2, okay, cool. That's probably about what they're worth, because there's not many of these around. So some people think it's a bit over. Look, this is not a scam segment like it normally is. I just thought I'd show you some let's call it vintage digital synths. And this is probably one of the older ones. Is that the first? Is that the first digital virtual analog? I don't know if I'd call that a virtual analog. It's more of a sampling synth, isn't it? It used more of a sampling engine, didn't it? What do you guys think? The Synclavier. Who's had a play with the Synclavier in real life? Anyone? I'm not talking about the Arturia VST version. I'm talking about a real one. Anyone ever touched one?
No, I've never have.
Anyone in the chat? Anyone in the chat got one? Yeah, it's kind of it's not like I'm not saying it's virtual analog. You could do analogy sort of stuff in it. So, but it was more of a sampling sort of synth. Right. Okay. We have reached the cool part of the show where we're going to be talking about virtual analog synths.
Rancy?
Yes. Oh, let's go to you first, and then I also have to introduce Dean because we've forgotten him. So you go first.
Yeah. It's just, I think I understand what virtual analog synth is, that it's software-based synthesis. Tell me if that's right, because I'm not sure.
Well, I like the term analog modeling. So it's a computer that is modeling what an analog synthesizer, subtractive synthesizer would do. That's kind of that's how I would look at it. In fact, we'll actually just put a pin in that for a sec. We'll actually get there because there's a bit of the bit of history will actually tell you kind of how this has evolved. Because if you lived in the 80s, the term virtual analog didn't exist, right? So you'll find out in a minute. Anyway, before we do that, let's say hello to Dean, because we never welcomed you, Dean. Hello, big hello to you. Thanks for joining us. Say hi to everyone, and how's your week been?
Hiya, yeah, great to see everybody. Yeah, been pretty cool actually this week. I've just started getting all my audio together in the studio here, and MIDI last night, USB and all that stuff started going on. So I'm kind of like 80-90% there, so it's nice. I can now connect to my Logic and start hearing some beats. I was in there last night really enjoying it, hearing stuff coming together, you know. So
that's the best part, isn't it,
really.
mate? Now, while I got you, right above your right shoulder, it's a JP8000.
Yes.
So
yes.
that could not be in a better position for this show, honestly.
And the Korg MS 2000 behind as well, which is another beautiful machine.
Yep, that's a great one.
There's a lot. I'm a kind of bit of an analog purist, but I love them machines. They do sound. You wouldn't know.
Yeah, they're really good. Is that JP8000 plugged in?
It's not. It's a bit so I can press the plug on, and that can happen.
You don't have to do it right now, but we may call,
in between a little.
Yeah, we may call you to do a super saw a bit later, just for people who want to hear one.
Yeah.
So
unfortunately, I've not got my audio through my audio interface, but I can just, it's wonderful sound. It probably sounds great actually through just even this.
Yeah. All right. So great question from Henrik before. He asked, what is virtual analog? And really it's kind of basically a digital synth trying to be an analog synth. Is probably the most basic way of explaining it. But let's check something out here interesting. And that is this company called Nord, which this is the reason why I actually showed earlier the Nord lead. I'm just going to just pop that audio down a sec. This is the Nord lead page that Klaviyo have left up, and there's a couple of interesting things written in here. So they've actually used this term virtual analog here. Now this has been written here since 1995, essentially. And what they're talking about is the fact that it's digital technology, but bringing you the analog sort of sounds. Now let's just scroll down a little bit here, because this is the thing that kind of got me really kind of interested, and that is this bit. Nord Lead is the first digital synthesizer to use virtual analog synthesis. So here's a claim. Now, who wants, you guys who are calling on the video callers or anyone in chat, does anyone want to refute or rebuttal that claim? Does Klaviyo have the right to say this? Klaviyo has analysed analog synthesizer design in detail and implemented research in digital modelling. Nord Lead employs a mathematical simulation of the electronic signal generated by analog oscillators instead of using waveform tables. This makes it possible, for example, to sweep the pitch smoothly over a very wide range and allow for true pulse width modulation. So there's some interesting things there, guys. I think this, before we get really into the, what's your favorite VA and, all that sort of stuff, let's just talk about the Nord Lead. That 1995 it came out, and originally when it first came out, it only had 4 voices, right? And then they did a firmware update. I think it was like a year or two later, and then it all of a sudden had 12 voices. Wouldn't that have been cool? Imagine that if you bought that synth, and then within a year or two, it's like triple the amount of voices. You'd be like, wow, this is amazing. So who's actually tried the original Nord lead? Anyone? Nope. No one. Anyone in the chat tried the
I may have
Nord
done
lead?
in the shop. I can't remember.
Yeah, my camera's just gone off again.
But
Robbie
looking
Failed
into getting
Musos, just quickly before we go on to you, Dean, Robbie Failed Muso in the chat has just said that he reckons the VL1 from Yamaha would be the first. So the VL1 isn't that physical modelling though? So they're kind of, it's digital but it's physical modelling. They're kind of more, I thought it was more sort of physical modelling. But yeah, you could be right. No one's right or no one's wrong here. Interesting anyway. Sorry, Dean, you go. You were saying something?
Yeah, hi. Yeah, I was looking up this week because I'm really keen on getting the Nord, the rack. You got the rack, and I think it says there's 2 versions, and the second one's quite interesting. You know, I do love the idea of it.
Yeah, there was a picture of the rack here on this page. I'll just show you. There it is there. So that's the...
It's got really interesting sound.
Yeah, that's the original rack, and that's the keyboard version. It's pretty much the same thing.
Yeah.
So yeah. Okay.
Sounded great on the reviews. So.
Yeah, Wagoo was saying in the chat that AN1X is pretty old. I think that was more around 97. So I think it's probably a year or two after. I think Korg brought out some stuff. Roland brought out some stuff. So yeah. Don't forget, we kind of... Yep.
Is that the one which you could use with software where you could build your own oscillators and filters and all that, like in Reactor, or is that a later model?
I don't know about that one. I mean, this would have been one of the basic ones. I actually don't have a lot of knowledge about Nord stuff because I actually don't own any Nord synths. So someone else can answer that.
I did some research.
Yeah, let's see what Oleg says.
Some research when I was kind of buying my first synth, which was Novation Nova, but I checked all the available information about the Nords as well. And what caught my attention is that they have this kind of control software where you actually build your patch from blocks like oscillators and filters and ADSRs. So it's like in Reactor software or this kind of DAWs. And then it just runs on this hardware engine.
Right.
So I think for that time it was pretty unique.
Okay. I mean, it was definitely, yeah, it definitely got people, you know, interested in that whole virtual analog side of it, didn't it? So, and I think a lot of people probably don't realise because, you know, they've lived through the whole, you know, progression of virtual analog synths today. But the fact that the Nord actually had a lot of knobs on it, and you probably think, well, so what? It has knobs on it, big deal. But this was actually kind of, you're talking about the mid-90s. Most synths that came out in the mid-90s were little LCD screen menu diving type romplers or little PCIM samples, that sort of stuff. The fact that this had little knobs and it meant it would kind of was a sort of wink back to the analog days was, I think, pretty important for it. So that was something else that kind of, it shocked the synth world, and I think a lot of the other manufacturers followed suit after that. That's kind of probably the big point there. Now, I want to get something up for you guys on my other cam here. And I want to show you one of my favourite VAs. I've got plenty of VAs here, but there's nothing really sort of say this is the best VA or anything like that. But this is a Roland System 8. And I'm a big fan of Roland's ACB technology. So they're not the first to do analog modeling with digital, FPGAs or DSPs, but they've done a really good job. And I'll give you an example. So I'm going to get in the way of the camera, aren't I, if I do this? Here we go. I'll just go around. Right. Now, let's go back to here. And there's a bit of Vangelis-y sort of. We got this. The pluck sound. It's just beautiful sounding synth, and it can do so many things. It's got FM in it as well. We're not talking about really FM today, but the fact this synth has got such a good sound and it's all digital, it's one of the ones that I think people should not look past. It's got the built-in plug outs, so you can do Jupiter 8, you can do Juno, you can now do a Juno 60 as of the other week, which I told you about. I've got the JX3P, I've got the Juno 106, and I've got the Jupiter 8. We can go. So anyway, I just wanted to quickly show what I thought was probably one of my more favourite virtual analog synths.
While we're at it, may I ask a few questions about the System 8?
Yeah, go for it. I'm just going to sit back down again.
I was considering getting it at a time, but I kind of hate the cloud, the Roland cloud, and I hate the green light. Can the light be switched off? And can it work without the Roland cloud if you have downloaded the things for it?
I actually don't use Roland Cloud at all. I'm a bit of not a hater, but I'm a bit of a annoyed Roland Cloud X user. Only because I absolutely can't stand when you're using software. The thing I love about hardware is I turn it on, it works. The thing I hate about software is if I haven't used a VST in say 12 months or 2 years, and I turn my computer on and I go, oh, that's right, I've got that cool VST. That should be able to do it. And I go to turn it on and I chuck it in as a MIDI track in my DAW, and all of a sudden it's not activated. Oh, now it needs to be updated. Oh no, now I've got to download the update. Oh no, now I've forgotten the key. Oh my God, where's my iLock? Oh my God. You know what I mean? Like, it's just all this bullshit that you have to put up with.
Yeah.
When it should just work. If you update your operating system, you forget that all your VSTs will probably break. It's all that sort of stuff. Now, I don't mind, if I was doing that a bit more sort of frequency, I'd probably be on top of it a bit more. But because I'm more in the analog world, I kind of feel that's kind of an annoyance for me. So, yeah, so you can turn the lights off on the, not off, you can stop them from flashing, and I think you can dim them. But someone will correct me if I'm wrong about that. But one thing you can't do is you can't stop them from being green. If you like, I can make my ambient lighting in the background here green with my phone if you want. Just to sort of. Where's Ken? He would love it if. So look, what I'm saying is, I'm not saying that software doesn't have a place in my life. It does. I'm an IT person. All I'm saying is that these are some of the things that I absolutely love about hardware synths. So, and my camera, I think, is overheating. I'm going to have to sort that one out.
You can turn the green on now.
Yeah. There we go. Right. Okay. So, Dean, did you manage to get your JP8000 up and running? Can't hear you, mate. You've muted yourself.
Yeah, can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you now.
All right. Cool. Yeah, it's getting there slowly. It's just
all right, we'll come back to
crackles and pops going on. Yeah.
Come back to
I'll get there.
All right, now Darren, what we're going to do first is we're going to go. I've got a few other virtual analog synths I want to talk about, but this is not about me and my opinion. I want to get you guys' opinions first. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to Darren. He's going to tell us about what he loves about virtual analog synths, and it doesn't have to be hardware. It can be software. I haven't shown any software yet. And then Oleg, you're going to be next. Now with Oleg, you've got a couple of things that you want to play for us, and we're going to have some fun with that. And we're going to have to sort of guess which is something. So we'll get to that in a sec. So there's a bit of excitement coming up there. And then hopefully we can get to the JP8000 with Dean a little bit later. All right, let's start with Darren. Your favourite VA synth? Is that your AN1X?
It will have to be, yeah. Yeah, it'd have to be that. Because seeing as I've still got it and I've not got rid of it. That, and like you say, we're not talking about software, but things like Yuhi, do some, I think Diva. So yeah, it'd be the AM1X.
In software, what would you say is your favourite though?
Oh,
and it's virtual analog too.
Got many. Virtual analog. I think you'd have to look at the Yuhi stuff. I think. I don't know. I don't really have a favourite because I sort of this between them all. Probably I like Anna. I use Anna a lot. It's probably my go-to actually, so I would probably stick with Anna and the AM1X, somewhat with the A's, I think.
You like the A's, starting at the top of the alphabet.
Yeah. Yeah.
Fantastic.
I think they would be the two favourites. Yeah.
Yeah. How often do you use your AM1X in your recordings nowadays, though? I don't know if I can. It's been a while since I've heard it, I think.
Well, you need to listen more carefully.
Oh, okay.
Because it's been in. I'm just trying to think. The last couple of tracks I've put out, there's been some AM1X in. Let's see, the last month, at least 3 of the tracks, and there's a little bit of AM1X in. Oh no, I've not put it out yet. In the album that I'm doing, there's a little bit of bass AM1X in that Paradise, the track Paradise, but I've not put that out, so that's probably why I've not heard it. But yeah, in the last couple of months, there's been a little bit of AM1X in there, but I layer up stuff, so you're never always gonna be able to point it out specifically, I would have thought. Are we muted?
I was muted. We're going to go to Oleg now. And Oleg, do you want to introduce these audio snippets you've given me? And then tell me when you want me to play them, and then, sort of lead the show from there.
Yeah, I think better if you will play them. I'll just give some initial disclaimer. So my point wasn't to create a strictly scientific A and B comparison, like, when you take the saw first on the one synth and then on another synth, and most likely they will sound similar. So what I did, having 2 hours, I tried to create the same kind of nice and creamy bass sound, which I use in lots of my performances, using 2 different synthesizers. So the first one is the real analog with VCOs and with the external effects unit. And the another one is a top-rated VST plugin. And so I didn't try to configure them exactly in the same way. I just tried to get the same sound on both.
All right. What we're going to do, because you've given away that one's analog and one's digital, I'm going to play them, and it may not be the order that you said it was in. So they're going to have to see if they can work it out. So I'm going to say that this is sample number 1, right? Now, sample number 1, Oleg, is not going to necessarily be sample A that you've given me. It may be, but they won't know. So let's just do this for them, okay? So we'll go to here so we can all... my camera's gone off again.
Yeah, and it's 1 minute long. It's not necessarily to listen to the whole thing. It's just
Well, we'll
the
just
same
play a little bit of it.
full bar loop over and over. Yeah.
All right, let's give it a go. Here we go. So it's just audio, so we should hear it in a sec. All right, that was sample number 1, and then we're going to go sample number 2. Right, now you've heard them both in the chat. People in the chat, this is just for people in the chat. Video callers, just hang off for a sec. Which one was analog? Number 1 or number 2? So Inky's saying the second was analog. All right, get your answers in. It's a bit hard with YouTube. I understand there's compression going on and all that sort of stuff, so it's a bit hard. But try your best. It's a bit of fun. We're not being too scientific here. We're saying first was digital and the second analog, right? So he's going along with Lisa. Andrew's saying second analog as well. Human Error is saying second analog. Everyone's saying second analog. Let's keep it going. Get a couple more in, so we've got around about 10-ish. Sasquatch says, I don't care, they both sounded good. Both digital. Okay, so Jazz Dude, 1 is definitely analog. Inner City Toad is saying the second is analog. Fair enough. Right, okay, so you guys ready now for... No, they're not both virtual analog. One is actually really analog. So let's go, let's tell you the answer. Now, Oleg, do you actually know the answer before I tell them? Can you tell the difference? Because you did the recordings.
Yeah, I can tell the answer.
Yep.
And so sample A, the first one, is ANA 2 VST.
Yep.
It has actually 3 oscillators. So I wanted to create this stereo spread, but I detuned the second oscillator. So it's actually a 3 oscillator based sound. And the second one is real analog. It's my monolancet synth, which I ran through Zoom CDR70 effects unit using the ensemble effects, which creates nearly the same kind of slide stereo panorama. So, but yeah, most of the people said that second one is analog, which is true, and I'm quite impressed because I gave it to my friend before, and he missed.
There you go. It's pretty hard because, like you said, you put it through digital effects too, so that can kind of taint the analog sound as well. So yeah, well done for those people who guessed it. There you go. There's your answer. So sample A, sample A that you gave me was digital, and sample B was analog, right?
Yeah. Another thing I wanted to mention, kind of my. Actually, they both sound pretty well. I think it's obvious, but my experience from making it was much easier for me to make it on the analog. Maybe because of the big knobs, it's just easier to find these sweet spots when you tweak the real analog synth. And with the VST, it was a bit more work because make these teeny tiny adjustments to get the same sweet spots on the virtual analog. It just took more time.
Yep. I'll tell you what we'll do. For those who are in the Discord server, I'll upload these a little bit later on, and I'll chuck them in the Discord server, and you guys can copy them to your computer if you want to look at them in Audacity, or if you've got you know, something that you can look at the spectrum and you can have a play. If that gets your propeller spinning on your hat, Go for it. All right. That was good fun. Thanks for Oleg for doing that. It was well worth it. I think everyone enjoyed that. So people in the chat, you can just see here, they're all pretty happy. So that's good. We should do more of this stuff, I think. All right. Now, before we go on to anything else extra, and Dean's still busy mucking around with his JP8000. Just give me a signal, Dean, when you're ready, and I'll go to you. But for now, just before you do, what I thought I'd do is I'd just quickly show you a couple of weird synths that came up when we were having a discussion about this on Discord during the week. What about this one? The Conbrio ADS 200. There's only 2 of these made. Is this a virtual analog? Who has heard of this? This is worth about $30,000 when it was first made, or so. They only made 2 of them. This is a 64 oscillator, 64 voice, upgradable to 256, and it has 32 memory patches, 32 performances, produced in 1980. And according to Wendy Carlos, it actually has one of the best user interfaces for a digital synth that she's ever seen. Okay. Remember, this was the 80s, right? So, or the early 80s. But if you're ever wondering, the original one, they actually made an ADS 100, and that was actually used in some of Star Trek's sound effects. So there you go. It's actually really an additive synth though, isn't it? I think it's probably more correct. What are the guys in chat saying? Yeah, FM and additive. Yep, that is what everyone's saying. So no, it doesn't qualify as a VA like someone thought in Discord during the week. But it's okay. We are all allowed to put our opinions up. What about this one? I mentioned this before. The Synclavier. Does this qualify as a virtual analog? Remember, the term virtual analog didn't even exist when these came out, these synths. So this, we mentioned this before, this is more of a sampling type of synthesis where you use a sample and then you apply your sort of, you know, your modulation and that sort of envelopes and stuff like that onto it there. So probably not, but a bit of FM in the Synclavier as well. So both of those first 2 ones that I showed aren't really virtual analog. In this, Enrique, when we're talking about the term of virtual analog, we're really talking about it actually modeling those analog circuits, right? So what about this one? This would have to be one of the better ones. No one's mentioned the Waldorf Q, I don't think. Anyone in chat mentioned it that I've missed? Is the Waldorf Q a good virtual analog synth? Has anyone got one? Has anyone heard one? Where does the Blofeld come from? Does the Blofeld come from this? So I'd agree with Native VS. I think this is a proper virtual analog synth as well. I think this is probably one of the better ones. So if you are looking at sort of what makes a good virtual analog synth, this is a good start. But I don't know about the yellow. I'm not so sure about the yellow. Yeah, I mean, yeah, maybe you get one of these synths and then you go bike riding with your spandex on afterwards. I'm not sure.
Didn't it turn orange later as the sledge?
The sledge, yeah. Yeah, but that's studios, yeah.
Yeah,
Water effects teas. There's heaps.
Insights.
We could be here all night naming all the synths. I want to show you another one. This is probably one of my favourite virtual analogs, and this is also probably one of my favourite YouTubers for doing synth demos. This is a very, very old video. Let's go. Anyone knows who this is? This is Xils. This is a Korg MS2000. And have another drink, people. Camera's gone off again. What do you guys think of the Korg MS2000? I mean, I've got something pretty close to it. Wigoo's going to tell me what it's called. He's like, cool. I keep getting told off. It was sitting there the other day, and it had to be moved. Do you guys remember what it is? Starts with an R. It's made by Korg. No.
Radius.
Radius. Yeah. Who said that?
Me.
Yes.
I have one as well. So
they're a great virtual analog synth, and obviously modelled after the MS2000, of course. Because the MS2000, I think was it 4 voices? I think it was restricted to 4 voices, wasn't it? Correct me if I'm wrong. But and obviously when they brought the Radius out, it's 32 voices. We're like, or 24? Was it 24 voices or 32? Anyway, 24 voices. Let's say, just in case we're erring on the side of overinflating talk. It was like, yes, this is amazing. This is so deep, and you know, you can layer oscillators, all sorts of stuff. It's cool fun. All right, looks like Dean is ready. Dean, over to you, buddy. Let's see what you got. What do you got for us? Oh yeah, we don't have any sound from your mic, but do you have audio coming through? I know you can hear me, or you can do sign language. No, not yet. Oh, he's restarted. Oh, we'll wait for him to come back. Okay. Let's go to the chat. Go to the chatties while we're waiting for you, Dean. You can talk, but we'll just go to the chatties. Right. Good amount in blinking LEDs on the Radius. Yes, it is. Yeah. The only thing is, I guess I think this trumps the Radius. Even though it's not even digital. But in terms of blinking lights, this is pretty good, right? It's got lots of big lights. You can actually turn them up. I've actually got that turned right down too. If you guys ever do get yourself the Behringer 2600, one of the things you'll notice straight away is when it first comes shipped, it's actually turned right up, these LEDs, and then it's really cool to look at when you first get it, but after you start using it, your eyes are like, it's like needles in your eyes, like turn it down. It's a bit like looking at the Roland synth, hey Henry? But who wants to have a listen to this? Here we go, ARP 2600 time. I know it's got nothing to do with virtual analogs. Well, maybe it does. Maybe Behringer have put like a DSP in there. Maybe it's not really analog. Oh my God, imagine that. What are you going to do, guys? Hey? There you go. There's a bit of Equinox for you. I could do the whole thing. Oh, speaking of that, Oleg, you'll love this. This is a good segue for the Blue Up. I have programmed the 3 Equinox sequences into the Blue Up as what do you call them? Chains. And I just wanted to show you what you can do. It's a bit of drums. Right, here we go. And I'm just going to turn the ARP on to latch. Here we go. And you can go to the second sequence, which is this. And it's got the third sequence that goes like this. I think you got this. Anyway, you guys got the idea, right? So there you go. There's the Blue ARP controlling the ARP 2600, hey? Through MIDI. Ooh, who would know? Who would know? All right, Dean, are you ready, mate?
I'm played by a guy with an ARP on his shirt.
No. We'll let you know if you're talking. You're not. You can't. You can hear me. Thumbs up if you can hear us. You can hear us, but we can't hear you. All right. It's just probably your audio interface, buddy. You probably just haven't got it kind of routed or whatever through the little vMix call thing. That's okay. We would. we would love to hear it, but it's no biggie if you can't do it. That's okay. We can bring up a Jexus video or something of the JP 8000. I was talking about this in Discord during the week. I was talking about the JP 8000. In fact, I actually wasn't talking about the JP 8000. I was talking about a track which I did a cover version of by a group called Apollo 440. You guys might remember them as like a techno group from the late 90s, early 2000s. And they made this track called Krupper or Krupa. Now, Krupa was like a drummer, wasn't he? They did this techno track. And in that is this amazing super saw sound. And we were trying to work out which one it was. And it was probably the JP 8000, because that would have been kind of like the ultimate super saw machine of the day. So, so let us know if you guys know that track. It's I'll just type it into chat so you guys know the spelling of it. It's Krupa by Apollo 440, like that. Someone will tell us whether it was a JP 8000 that did the synth in it. I'm not going to play it because I'll get a copyright strike. Yeah, I think it might have been 90s, wouldn't it? I sometimes forget my decades because I've got so many of them under the belt. Now, Oleg, you've got a Novation synth, haven't you, in your arsenal? Is it the Supernova that you've got?
No, it's Nova Desktop, a predecessor to Supernova, but they're not much different actually, I think.
Yeah.
Supernova has some extra features and 2 more parts. So Novation Nova is 6-part and Supernova is 8-part.
Yeah, so your Nova is like a virtual analog, really, isn't it? So
yeah, it's one of the first. I was wondering actually, when you talked about Nordlead, which company was the first to release the virtual analog? I think Novation was pretty much there as well. It was first released maybe in '96, if I'm correct. So it's 90s.
Yeah. Be interested to know if anyone in the chat has a theory about what the first virtual analog was. And remember, we could get technical. We could say, well, the term, like Klaviyo are kind of claiming the term virtual analog, right? So maybe it wasn't called a virtual analog. Maybe it was called an analog modeling synth, or I don't know, or a subtractive modeling synth. Who knows? Someone might be able to tell us in the chat. But yeah, Oleg, I was just going to... Oh, yeah, we can hear you, mate. Yep.
Oh, brilliant. I'm back.
After all that. That's okay, mate. Oleg, I was just going to pick your brain. So I know you do some amazing demos with your Blue Arp, and a lot of that stuff that you do it with, you do use your Novation synth, and it actually sounds really, really cool. You've got that sort of techno blood in you. So what's kind of your thoughts about why it's a go-to synth? Why do you love it so much?
Well, I might be kind of biased towards Novation Nova because it's my first synth, like the first love, you know. So I'm kind of maybe not completely objective to this one. But what I like about it is it's very hands-on. So you have everything on the surface. It's really convenient to program. And when I compared it even to Radius and to Virus, I prefer Nova because it's a lot. You have just knobs and buttons and not too much stuff hidden in the menus. And you know, another thing that kind of that's a big question for me: why there is so few multi-timbral VAs out there? It was Virus, it's Novation Nova, maybe Radius. Now it's Skyra, but they just don't make it anymore. Even Novation makes like monotimbral synths, like Ultra Nova they had, and the further stuff. It's really cool to have to have a multi-timbral synth which you can make a whole performance using only that one in real time.
Yeah. Maybe there's, I don't know, you know, like I was mentioning the System 8 before, so maybe the world isn't kind of sexed up about the whole virtual analog label anymore. Maybe it's getting a bit sort of old, so they've got to use different terminology, like Roland used ACB, and there's a few others that are using different terminology to try and get people sort of to buy into their digital DSP algorithms, right? So that could be the reason. Now, that's a good segue because a couple of guys in chat have been sort of banging at me saying, Rans, why don't you mention the Roland D50? Was that a virtual analog synth? Because it's probably one of the first digital synths that Roland made. I think it probably was their first digital synth actually, and it used the LA Synthesis famous, the D50 sound we all know about. So technically, it probably is a virtual analog synth because when you think about it, it's using that it's using the PCM samples as oscillators as such, right? But then it's using the DSP sort of processing to filters and VCAs and all that sort of stuff. So, I mean, you could probably argue that D50 maybe. And the other one that was mentioned in the chat was from Magoo. He mentioned the Aegis Sonics on the Amiga. I have no idea what about that. I mean, I was an Amiga person, but I think, maybe Magoo needs to tell us what that means, what that's about. Was that a virtual analog or what? Who knows? Yeah. So yeah, I mean, look, going back to the D50, one of my favourite synths. I've got a D550. I don't have a D50. I've got a D550. It's exactly the same thing. It's just without a keyboard. And I've written tracks with it. I love it. It's a really, really great synth. In fact, I probably think, and Robbie will probably kill me for saying this, I actually think it's better than the DX7. So, and Roland brought it out to compete with the DX7. I was living all through that period. I remember when Roland, like the Yamaha DX7 was selling like hotcakes, and then Roland said, we're going to lose the market here, we've got to do something, and they brought the D50 out, and it was actually really quite clever. Because you think about what Roland have done since the D50, it's been basically built upon that D50 foundation, hasn't it? Darren, with that, you've got the XP50 there, right? That XP50, the whole sound engine on that is basically from the D50, just new iterations and improvements to get to where you've got with the XP50. And then even today with the Zencore, is it called Zencore, the new one that they've got? I mean, you can still see the remnants of, the D50 in that. I've got a JDXi, which has got the Supernatural engine in it, which is the one before Zencore. You can see D50 all through that with the partials. So really, Roland really banked on that D50 sort of platform for many, many, many years. So it was definitely a winner for him, you have to say, definitely. And Native VS and Adamski are sort of talking about sort of technical declarations about, exactly what it was and what it can do. But yeah, they mentioned the Jean-Michel Jarre's Industrial Revolution. That whole, is it called Revolutions? That whole album was pretty much a D50, wasn't it, that he did? So he did 2 albums. Like he was probably one of these guys that got a synth and made an album because he got a synth. I reckon that's cool, right? So he got the Elka Synthex and he made Rendezvous, and then he got the D50 and he made Revolutions. I mean, it's pretty much an album about a synth. It's like his love affair with his synths. I mean, Equinox is probably the Harp 2600 album, isn't it? So, you could argue. But yeah.
I never owned the actual D50. Sorry. I never owned the actual D50, but I think this synth is probably kind of the best example when engineers try to overcome the limitations of the time, because they didn't have enough memory. Memory was very expensive. They couldn't pull all the samples because they just didn't have enough space. So they invented this thing like the sample was only the attack, and the rest was like VA, some kind of simple waveform and filtering.
Yeah.
And that created this beautiful blend kind of sampling and VA. So if we can call it VA, only like half VA, I'd say.
It's probably, maybe it's the father of VA. I don't know. I mean, the grandfather of VA. Who knows? Anyway, I mean, I definitely know the JP8000 has some, D50 blood in it, if you want to call it that. And because the JP8000 has a lot more memory because it was a new, 10 years later, they were able to use bigger processors and things and able to do sort of more algorithmic stuff. Was, instead of using samples, they were able to sort of generate sounds, with DSP. So it's pretty clever.
Hey, Rance, I just wondered. Can you hear me?
We can.
Oh.
Yay.
Brilliant. Just want to apologise to everyone. I'm having an absolute nightmare here with the audio.
That's okay.
The audio, with the keyboards, it's not coming through direct. So I've only got this microphone here. But I'm much willing to obviously show people a few presets. If you let me know how it sounds, it might not sound very good through the mic, but the JP8000 is a wonderful, beautiful machine, that's for sure.
Yeah, go for it.
Let's
give it a go.
You hear that?
Yeah. It's a bit quiet though. It's a little bit quiet.
I'll turn it up a bit.
Yeah, you can turn it up.
Is that better?
Yeah, wake the neighbours up. Stuff them.
It's a lovely filter. I just picked out a few presets that maybe people might like. It's a beautiful machine for what it does. Putting them alongside and getting it back out, it's gone into the background more recently for me. But when I play nowadays and bring this out against the analog, it stands.
Dean, Wagoo's asking you to crank it, mate.
Right, louder. Sorry, yeah.
He's saying, don't worry about the neighbours, just crank it.
Yeah. It's only because it's coming through this microphone that I've got here.
Yeah, fair
so
enough.
It's not very good quality. I've got it right up. We've got a hiss going on now.
Oh,
that
cool.
loud? But
just pull your mic down a bit from your mouth because you're getting like wind from your nose in it. So just pull your mic piece down. Yeah, that's it. And then try that again.
I'm going to have a few presets.
They're all wanting a super saw, mate. Do the super saw.
The super.
Oh, there it is.
The other phone. So I'm trying to play this with a laptop in one hand and
fair enough.
Yeah, and then
no, you can
yeah,
go for it,
the
mate.
MS2000. Unfortunately, he's not plugged in at the moment. I was playing with him last night and wondered I lost the lead somewhere. It's one of those. But the JP8000 it's a really broad sounding synth. It's got so many different beautiful sounds in there, softer sounds. Let's go back here a bit. Let's just go out down there. Right. There's your Star Trek.
Oh yeah.
Interesting tubular bell.
Yeah, that's actually the fact that it's doing such good bell sounds is just testament to the digital part of it.
Yeah, and then I don't know if he's on actually, but oh, there we go. And then we was just speaking about
The D50. Yeah. Beautiful.
Sort of thing. Just randomly grabbing patches. That's a lovely patch. So yeah, there's a little taste of the modelling. But sorry, I couldn't get that together better audio.
That's okay. We can
through the mixer.
We can always get you to try another time. That was great. I think everyone enjoyed that. They're all asking you to do the super saw filter mouth.
Oh, the super saw filter.
Don't drop your laptop, mate. Jeez. You don't want to lose that.
Yes, that's it. Back. So I can get. I remember the. Right, if you give me a second, I'll come back to it, and then I can find it for you. So I will endeavour to get that set up the best possible I can do.
Yeah. We can go on to the next part of the show anyway, so no problem at all. What about hybrids, guys? So with virtual analogs kind of creep into the hybrid world too, right? So there's like the Novation Peak is a great example, where all of the oscillators in the Novation Peak are FPGA type oscillators, and then you've got an analog filter. So it's 8 voices, so you've got analog filter for each of the voices. So what about hybrids? Do they kind of have a virtual analog relationship? Are they classified as virtual analog? I mean, what's some other good examples of hybrid synths that are kind of trying to replicate that analog sound?
There is Korg DW8000, if you remember.
Yes.
Yeah, it's really distinctive sounding synth. You may check Aspencraft videos on this. This is really one of these synths that I will keep for a lifetime. I even care to repair one to keep it as long as it survives. So it has its 6 voice, if I'm correct, yeah, it's 6 voice, and it has digital oscillators, digital waveforms, and they're probably 8-bit. I'm not sure about that. So it has this a bit of bit crush in the sound, but the filters are analog, and it sounds really good. So yeah, I think this is mostly the filter which gives the synth its warm analog flavor. And so yeah, so I'd say that the good hybrids are actually more gravitate towards the analogs than towards the VA.
Yeah, because I think Ensoniq did a couple too, didn't they? They did the another drink time. They did the SQ80, and I think the one before that they did was the ESQ1, which I've got. And yeah, come on, camera, I'm back. So I've got an ESQ1, and the way that sort of synth works is it's got Curtis filters, they're analog, and Henrik's going. See, he's doing what I'm doing, making the camera go black.
I wanted to mute the mic. I saw it was on, so I hit the camera.
We'd all just go black screens and just have a little black screen sort of square dance. There you go. There's a little button you guys can press on your vMix call to actually blank your screen out. You can just turn it on and off if you want to pick your nose or something, scratch your ass, whatever. Anyway, so yeah, hybrids are good. So who did I see that's got it's the Hydrasynth? Is that a hybrid in any way? Or is it just fully digital? I can't remember. Hydrasynth's fully digital, isn't it?
It's built on wavetables, but yes, I'm quite sure it's not a VA. It's a wavetable synth.
It's pure digital, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. You can't replace the wavetables, so.
Yeah.
I don't know. It doesn't have anything to do with that. But,
well, I mean, wavetable is another type of synthesis, isn't it? Really, so it kind of doesn't.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, and also I think the same about the D50. I don't think it's a virtual analog synth. It's still based on samples and a few oscillators. Else everything would be virtual analog. Even this old MKS7 at the bottom.
Yep.
I think it's virtual analog when it's generated by a CPU and not by a sample or an oscillator.
So what Nord?
That's my
What
meaning.
Nord did, they kind of
Yeah.
they probably have got
and React
the Guernsey, haven't they?
like React something. Yeah.
There you go. So what about the chatties? Do they agree? Do they think, like, if we were to say that let's use the term, it has to be some sort of I don't know. To be a virtual analog, it's got to have some sort of DSP algorithm that generates the oscillators and everything else. It can't be a sample. It's got to actually be like it's got to be synthesis, right? So would you guys agree then that's probably going to be the Nord lead? Who thinks it's the Nord lead is the first virtual analog? It's not like this is going to define the show, but it's probably a good point to make, I guess. So let us know in the chat what you think. Definitely. There's been a few people who have got some other opinions, that's for sure. Hopefully I haven't missed any of you. Bash me across the back of the head if I've missed. What about the more recent modern ones? What about the Cobalt 8 from Modal? That's a bloody nice virtual analog synth. Who agree with that? Who's heard the Cobalt 8? Darren? You've heard it recently, didn't you?
Fab. Yeah, oh yeah, I've heard it. I think it sounds wonderful, actually, yeah. You've got the Argon 8, have you?
I've got the Argon 8, yeah. It's a wavetable, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, but the Cobalt sounds great, yeah.
Yeah. I think I'm probably going to buy a Cobalt 8, I think. I don't know if I'll end up keeping the Argon 8. The Argon 8 is just sitting over here at the moment. I had to move it out of the rack because the 2600, this is massive, this thing. It takes up all my rack space. So I'll probably have to, I don't know what I'll do yet. How many U? Is it 9U? I've asked this before, I can't remember. Someone will tell us in the chat. I think it's 9U or something like that.
Oh, wait a minute, I think it was 8U.
Might be 8, yeah.
I think it's 8U.
The thing is, like, with this particular, desktop stand one, there's actually another hole about there where my finger is. I'll show you a bit better there. There's another hole in the, in the rails here. So I could have had it up one higher. But if I did, I'd have to take this crossbar off. And the only thing that's kind of supporting that is actually the synth itself. And then you're actually not getting all the holes lining up. So I kind of did it so it's correctly lined up. This is kind of the silliness of rack mount stuff. So I'm kind of missing out on, a little bit of height. Because I could put stuff underneath here. The Novation peak is not staying here, it's going somewhere else. It's not even turned on at the moment. Yeah. I've got some news I might want to, just while we're digressing for a sec, I've got some news that I want to talk to you guys about. So, okay, so I've got a bit of a journey that I'm about to embark on, right? And for those who watch my channel, you'll see some of this start to come out in the mailbag episodes as well. So slowly but surely I'm getting some parts in, and the good thing, I guess, is that I've managed to get the most important parts in, and I'm going to start making a custom-made, I've talked about this before, Eurorack case. And I'm actually going to make two of them. I'm going to make two 104 HP Eurorack cases, and I've already got the bus boards, and I've already got the Meanwheel power supplies, and en route are the Zeus rails and brackets. And all I've got to do next after they turn up is get the saw out and chop some wood up, and they're going to go here. So they'll actually probably be either this height or a little bit higher, and then there'll be two of them here. And I'm going to use a dark wood. I'm going to use it's an Australian wood called Jarrah, which is kind of like a reddish dark wood. It's kind of similar but maybe a bit darker. Have you guys seen the colour of the wood that's on the rack roots from Arturia? It's similar to that, but kind of a little bit darker. And it's got that sort of tinge to it. Now, one of the reasons why I want to use a nice solid timber and not some sort of veneer or some sort of ply or anything like that, I actually want the face of the edges of the sides of the racks to look nice. And I found that there's a lot of cases out there you can see that they've used ply and you get this kind of zebra stripes where the ply has all been stained. It just doesn't look nice. So I want to kind of have a little bit of quality with the wood. So nice bit of hardwood. But yeah, so if anyone wants to kind of join me on that journey, I'll be doing some videos about my thoughts on it. I've already started, you know, making notes about how big it's going to be and everything like that. So there's a million different ways you can design these things. It's kind of personal how you do it. So yeah, and I wanted to say a big thank you to Mac, who's in the chat room, because he was one of the guys that suggested to use the bus boards that I've got. I'll go and grab them in a minute, I'll show them to you guys. They're from I think they're a Dutch company from the Netherlands. I forget what they're called now. I'll grab them in a sec. No, it's got their name on it anyway. Decent bus board, you'll see that in a sec. And yeah, interesting sort of, with you, Darren, what about you? Are you going to do any sort of custom type arrangement with your, I know you're doing a lot of building of your studio, but are you going to do any sort of custom Eurorack stuff, or is that giving it too much away?
Maybe. Not the bottom half, but the top half might be custom.
Mm-hmm.
But at the moment, the bottom half isn't custom. Don't forget, I've not got as big of area as you, so, and this whole thing that's constructing around me is taking up every inch of room that I've got and cutting. I'm trying to make it so it's all removable but all firmly fitted in, and it looks like it's, I think Xils-labs said it looks like a roll cage, basically.
Yeah.
So I should be able to move and be able to everywhere without having to really get out of the seat. May have to stand up because
so basically, you just want to be a lazy twat
from the ceiling.
Yeah. I've already, well, you see, if I do that, I'm actually literally touching
the window,
the side of the room there.
Yeah.
Virtually, yeah. And if I do that, I'm almost touching it. Well, probably another 2 foot on this side, but
you're probably one of these freaks, Darren, that you're probably like 9 foot tall, and we just don't know it because the camera's, you know, tricking us, and you've probably got these really long arms. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
All right, do you want to?
I think you'll see it soon.
Do you want to have a look at these bus boards? All right, let's. Which way around does it go? I think it's like this. So if it's going to focus on, there you go. So these are the bus boards that I've got. And you can see there's 10 on each side. Camera just died on me. Oh, nice timing, camera. So just let me just start my camera back up again. Modular Synth Lab is the name of the company. I'll give them a plug. They can leave the money on the fridge. And the power supply that I'm using are the Meanwells. These are quite common for people to use. Now, it's actually quite strange because I actually was going to use these in the start. So that if you want to order these yourselves, it's the RT65B. It's funny because I always thought if I build a Eurorack case, I'm definitely going to use this because I had a couple of spare lying around from non-music related projects to do with retro computing. And I thought, yeah, these have got plus 12, minus 12 and 5 volts, so they're going to be perfect for Eurorack. And I think they're 3 amps as well. And then when I ordered these, I actually discovered that these guys actually also recommend you use the exact same power supply. So that was almost a bit of luck, I think, there. Now, Mr. Mac is saying to me that I need to do, when I do the sides of my Eurorack case, that I should use mounting bustards, use spacers and standoffs for a nice airflow, and also internal brackets, cheeks, not bolts on the outside. I don't know yet. I mean, yeah. I've been looking at the internal versus external mounting, and I'm not sure whether it actually makes it wider or not. And that's one of the problems I've got, because I've only got a total of 1200 mil that I need to fit the two cases on, and I don't want to make it bigger than that. It's just kind of, that's the constraints that I've given myself. That's why I've gone for 104, and I don't want to do one big case. There's a reason for that. I want to have two cases just in case later on, if I decide to, I might want to split them up and move them in different parts of the studio. So it's all to do with, future proofing and things like that. I don't want to have a massive big 180 HP or whatever case. So yeah. So I'm not really sure if I can, but I'll try, is the answer. It is a nice
it's really wise move.
Finish. What's that, Dean?
Yeah. I think it's a really wise move with the custom idea, because like you were saying earlier, I'm very close to getting into it myself, and I spoke on Anton, so I was speaking to a guy, and it's just so when you can custom build that, you're custom building the synthesizer through the modular and having that amount of size, whatever size, like Darren said, whatever your size you've got and space, which I don't really have much more space than Darren, I don't think, because I filled this place up already, but yeah, I'm liking this. It's great topic. Help me along the way.
Yeah, I mean, it's a journey. So, like, I'll vlog it as I do with all the other crap that I do in this channel. So, you guys can follow along, whether it's of interest or whether it's just because you're bored and you want to watch something. It's like I can either watch Ramsey crap on about his Eurorack or Netflix. It's one of those things, right? or those stupid old shows that no one cares about. So Mac's saying you can design things with CADs and that. Yeah, so I've got access to all that sort of stuff through, family and stuff. So I'm good there. We are good. It depends. I might engineer, cut it, or I might do it by hand. It depends on how I feel. I mean, when I was at school, I did woodwork all the way through to the final year. So I actually did it as I don't know what you guys call it in your countries, but when you do the final year of your high school, you do this thing called tertiary entrance subjects, and it lets you go into university. So you get a choice. You can do tertiary entrance, or you can just do like graduating, just normal sort of standard subjects. So I did the tertiary entrance subjects, and one of them I did was woodwork. And I did woodwork all the way through high school. So I kind of, I should be okay with this sort of stuff because it's pretty basic. But having said that, you guys saw my thing that I made before out of hacked IKEA and pine. There wasn't exactly a thing of beauty. And it definitely, this has to be a thing of beauty. So maybe I might go down the route that Mac's suggesting and get it done professionally. And then all I have to do is just screw it together.
It's simple, it's hard.
Yeah, I mean, I've been looking on the internet at different designs, and there's a heap of options. Like, for example, it's amazing what you kind of don't think about. So what am I going to put on the bottom? Is it just going to be hollow on the bottom? Am I going to put a bottom on it? What am I going to put on the back? You always have to put a back on it. Is it going to be a beautiful looking piece of wood on the back, or is it just going to be a bit of ply? Do you know what I mean? Like, you've got to think about all these sort of choices and what's going to go on top, because the top part of the case you'll actually use as kind of like a shelf. So it's nice if you have a nice, sanded in piece of thing on the top. So you got to think about all these things. They're not, and then inside, because your case, if you look at your case on the side, you're going to have it's like an L shape, right? And then you have your side comes down, and all that space in there is probably where you're going to put your power supplies. But then, are you going to stick your rails right at the back on that bottom part of the L, or are you going to stick them out a little bit further and have like a sort of a bit of wood that will hold them out a bit closer, so when you're plugging your modules in, it's not like right down the back in the corner of of the case. So there's all these kind of these theories that you kind of have to think when you're making these things. It at the end of the day, it's kind of like, how much could you be bothered doing versus functionality versus what does it look good, and it's fun. It's fun. So yeah, lots of comments going in by the chatties about it. So yeah, lots of designs online. You can I forget the name of some of the websites. There's a few websites that have got even CAD drawings of Eurorack cases that you can just copy, and you can just bring them into your CAD software and change them. So, it's fun. Anyway, we move on to a different topic. So, how did we go with VA today, guys? What did you think? Was that a good... Did I miss anything, or did you want to talk about anything?
Can we,
No.
if I may...
Let's go Oleg first.
Yeah, I wanted to discuss one more thing, which personally interests me for years. So, what do you think? I mean, people in the chat and people here, is this analog thing is just about the sound, or is it just a kind of hype thing? For example, if you had a choice, having two synthesizers with the equal sound, and kind of the equal tech specs, but one is analog and kind of more expensive, and another is a digital replica and cheaper, which one would you get? Are you willing to pay an extra for knowing just that it's an analog thing, if there's no obvious difference in the sound?
Yeah, well, there's a couple of great examples of that, isn't there, Oleg? Even recently, I mean, if you're talking about Behringer doing remakes, they remade the, sorry, I'm going to go to me, or us. They remade the VP330 by Roland, which was the string machine / vocoder, right? And also Roland did a boutique version of the VP330 called the VP03. In fact, I've got one here. I could probably bring it out in a sec. So there's a great question. So how much was the Behringer one? Someone could look it up on their computers while I'm saying it. So how much is the Behringer one, and how much is the Roland boutique one? And what would they get? Just using that as an example, because that's what you're saying, isn't it, Oleg? Is a VA more attractive to you? There's some benefits with VA, or is trying to get a remake of an original analog, trying to be true to the original, is that more attractive to you? It's a good question. Guys in the chat, answer that question, and also you guys here too, if you've got some opinions about it. I think it's a great question. Who wants to go first? You go first and I can go get the VP03 while you're doing it. I've also got the VC340, which is the Behringer version of it, so I can show you both.
Yeah, I could probably...
We'll do Henrik first, because he kind of just snuck in there. I'm just going to put my headphones down for a sec, Henrik, so you've got the floor for a second while I grab this synth.
Okay. Oleg mentioned that was it a trend that everyone wants analog? I think so. And I wonder what the next will be. Steam synths? I don't know. Oleg?
Yeah, I could rephrase it a little bit, if you will. So, do you think that virtual analogs, it's kind of a surrogate for a real thing, or just an emulation, or is it a genuine thing that is kind of has its own existence?
Yes.
All right. Now,
I think I've got
Well,
one.
I would love it. I would love it if it was possible. It's not. If someone made a Steam synth, it would be great.
someone mentioned that in the chat. Let me just show you the example. I don't know what you guys said while I was gone, by the way. You could have said nasty things about me. This is the boutique one that I was talking about, the VP03, the vocoder. So that one, and I've also got the Behringer VC340. I'm not getting that out, it's a massive brick of a thing. And I've also shown that on the stream before. So actually, I've always wanted to do a video comparing the two, just for shits and giggles, really. But is that kind of what you're asking, Oleg? Like, which one would you choose and why? And, you know, what do you gravitate towards?
Am I right? Yeah, and am I right that the Behringer's one is kind of exact replica, and the Roland's one is kind of the digital replication, and that one is analog? Is that right?
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah. So the original Roland was the VP330, and it was like a late 70s string machine with a vocoder in it. And so, you know, Roland thought, hey, we're doing all these analog remakes as digital, and we've got ACB, and everyone's buying our crap. So let's make the VP03, and we'll make it sound like the original. But I don't know if anyone's got one of these. I mean, obviously, I'm going to do a video on this one day and make my opinion. But this does not sound exactly the same as a VP330. The Behringer one sounds a lot more closer to the Roland one by far. And did anyone in the chats find out what they were worth? I know you can still get the VC340 from Behringer. It's just it's hard for me to do Google searches while I'm running a show. So someone in the chat can tell us if you can still buy these VP03s, how much are these, and how much is if it's different in price, whatever. Someone in the chat can say. And I guess one of the benefits, though, of this, guys, is the size. I mean, this is tiny, right? And this is also, this whole module is detachable from this keyboard thing as well, so it doesn't even have to be in that, because that's the whole boutique, you know, system, isn't it? So you can actually just detach this thing. Is it going to come out?
Yeah, so Rands, I've got the Behringer one. It's really close.
So you can take this whole thing out if you want to.
Does the boutiques fit in 19-inch, or does it need an adapter or something?
Nah, they missed the boat with that, mate. That it doesn't fit in Eurorack, and it doesn't fit in 19-inch. Yeah, it's annoying. And that's actually a really cool thing, because one of my favourite boutiques is the SEO2, because it's actually an analog boutique. And it wasn't really made by Roland. It was actually really made by Studio Electronics, and Roland have just given them license to use that form factor. But it's actually a really cool boutique, because I think I mentioned it when we were talking about innovation and clones, that sort of episode. Dean, you were saying you've got the VC340 as well. What's your opinion on that?
Yeah. Well, when I've heard it, you know, I hear on tracks, and then suddenly, I think last night I was playing about of it, and it's just that sound. It's got it. It really has. And I watched a lot of reviews on the Roland one, and you know, it wasn't really for me. I know I've got the Euro 6 on the boutiques, and that's really close, because I've got obviously the 106 there behind me. That's really close. Good stuff. Yeah, I've got it over here. I can really play you like a little, you know, bit. I've got him sitting down there at the moment on the organ. So.
Oh yeah, cool.
Yeah. And it's got obviously the voices. That's what I like about it. It's got the 8 foot, 4 foot, and all that stuff. And you know, the attack and releases. That's quite interesting when you're playing with those, because they kind of don't do what you think they would do, but they come really useful in hitting the little sweet spots when you kind of get them in the right places. I just think it's a much better machine, and the analog again, it's just for me. I'm a bit of a slut to analog. You know?
Yeah, I think they got it pretty close. Now, so guys in the chat were saying, I'll just quickly go to the guys in the chat. They were saying, Untoward Media said 270, 330 on reverb for the boutique. And then Sasquatch said £300 for the Roland and £373 for the Behringer. Now, one thing I don't know if I haven't read all the chat messages. Sorry, guys, if you guys have mentioned this, and you can just pat yourself on the back if you said this. The Roland VP03 doesn't have full polyphony either. So one thing, guys, so Dean, you'll know this. You could literally stick your arm on that keyboard and it will play every single note from the lowest key up to the highest key. I don't know how big your arm is, but give it a go one day. Whereas with the VPO3, you can't do that. It's actually limited in polyphony. So there you go. There's another drawback. It's a bit like the ACB kind of thing with the System 8. That's kind of similar sort of issue you've got. So that could possibly be one of the, like if you're looking at pros and cons of VAs, that could be a con, couldn't it? You know, because maybe they can't get fast enough processors to do polyphony. It's kind of weird, isn't it? Because in some respects, you see digital synths and they've got massive polyphony, right? Like some of those new Waldorf synths have got 256 polyphony, like crazy stuff, and Virus and all, they've got really big digital polyphony. But when it comes to sort of modelling that analog sound, all of a sudden the polyphony just really struggles, doesn't it? Don't you? Do you think that's kind of because it becomes quite taxing when they're trying to actually do it properly? What do you guys think? Am I on my own here?
Well, with the boutiques, it's really a strange thing why they're so limited in polyphony. Like the Jupiter 8 boutique, which one is that? It is just 4 notes of polyphony. That's ridiculous. I mean, you have no possibility to play these white pads, which are so glorious on Jupiter. So I can understand that they made it. They decided that because they addressed it to cheaper price range. But in general, I think digital should be more powerful because now there are so powerful DSP chips and stuff like that. This new Kyra synthesizer, it has 128, as I remember. 128 polyphony of virtual analog. That's the proper virtual analog. Yeah, so maybe boutiques are not the right example here because they're kind of they're deliberately limited by Roland, I think, just to feed them into that price range.
Yeah.
But probably, yeah, your point about taxing is right because I remember that they told that their model and technology, which they use in System 8, how it's called, it's ACB, if I'm correct.
ACB, yep.
Yeah, it's pretty taxing. It's pretty taxing, and they further invented this Zen Core, the next technology, which is less accurate but less taxing on the CPU.
It's still pretty good though. The Zen Core is still pretty good. Now, one of your other guys was saying you wanted to talk as well, and Oleg got in first. Who was that? I can't remember. Or have we moved on?
I had something.
Dean. Yep.
Just to go with Oleg, so I've got that boutique for the Jupiter, and it's right. I don't know. I feel like I've got half a synthesizer, and it doesn't. It's really strange with the boutiques. The like I said, the JU06 is really good, and then you got the Jupiter one. The JP, I think 08 is called. I really rarely go near it, and it's really strange, and then it's just inconsistency I found, with the VP because I was always willing to get the boutiques, but I think it's the SE, is it the SEO1? I think it was. That's an analog one they did or something.
SEO2, yeah.
That was intriguing. 02, sorry, yeah. Obviously, with the equipment I've got here, it probably is not going to add much to the party, but yeah, it's strange. The polyphony thing is really, really disappointing, and that's the big disappointment for me with the Jupiter thing, because there's one thing, just wanted to fill in the hole and the gap with that sound, and it's like I kind of got half a cake.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you. I kind of feel that. Wigoo said it before. I think with the VPO3, I don't think Roland got it right, and I don't even think they actually truly did the ACB on it either. So I think that one was just kind of like I don't know. It was probably their, dare I say, it was probably their worst boutique. Why I've still got it, I don't know. And when you were talking, Dean, you were talking about the JP08. like, I never understood. I never bought the JPL8. I never understood why it never had 8 voices. Look, you know, just if it needed to have 8 voices, just put 2 of those DSP chips on a you know, a circuit board and cram it in. If it needed a fan to keep it cool, whatever, do it. Like, people would have loved it if it had the 8 voices, because that was kind of the attraction with the Jupiter, was the, you know, was the use of those 8 voices. And on top of that, I think where it also fell short was those sliders on that were tiny. Like, you literally had hardly any movement in that, and you were literally going from one extreme to another, and you could not get those sweet spots, which is something else that was really homage on the JPL8, the original JP Jupiter. And then it wasn't until Roland brought out the System 8 that we actually really got to see whether the ACB actually worked with the Jupiter engine or not, and it absolutely did. So, because they've got decent sized sliders on the System 8, you can, it's probably a little bit blurry out of focus there, but you can see, if I pan that camera actually, let me see if I can pan it across to the right. If you guys have never ever seen a System 8, it's actually got decent size sliders on it. So yeah, there's the two EGs there. Sorry about the dancing lights, it's annoying. I could turn that off, by the way, I just can't be asked. But yeah, once you actually did have that, you know, more of the hands-on control, bigger knobs, bigger sliders, you got to find the sweet spots. And actually they did program it in quite well. I actually found, when I was mucking around with the Jupiter 8 sound engine on it, I thought, wow, you know, this is actually so close to it being a real analog synth. So if Roland are actually listening, okay, yeah, they copped a lot of flack with their "we don't chase analog ghosts" and all that sort of stuff. One thing they did right is definitely ACB. They definitely did that right. So they should keep going with it. I don't think they should dump it in any way. And it looks like they might be. So they recently released the Juno 60, and I can get that now as a plug out for my System 8. So now my System 8 already, now after many years I've had that, I've got another synth that I can load onto it. And yeah, I don't know, what do you guys think of I know we kind of flying the flag for Roland here a little bit, but they are pretty good when it comes to VAs, you have to admit. Anyone agree?
I only played System 8 on Superbooth or somewhere, but yeah, I was really impressed. And it is the same technology as in boutiques, as I know, it's the same ACB.
Yep.
And yeah, this thing sounds really impressive. And I wonder if they did a larger boutique version of Jupiter 8, a more expensive but with proper 8 voices, would you get one? I mean, having all the same sliders and all the same interface.
Well, technically, if you've got Roland Cloud, I think you can do more than 8 voices with Roland Cloud, and you do get the ACB engine, because your computer will be actually, you know, running those algorithms. So if you've got a pretty decent CPU, like I've heard of guys who have got Core i9 and lots of processors and lots of RAM, and it's pretty taxing. So that they've had lots of voices. You know, you can load multiple instances of that VST as well. So yeah, there's your answer. You can do it, but it has to be pretty high power computer. So we're not quite there yet with you know, when you think about like the Nord lead that we talked about that came out in '95, they weren't doing anywhere near the amount of analog modelling that what Roland were doing in the ACB. So Roland were doing things like temperature differences on capacitors, and they were looking at how voltage drift worked on oscillators. They were looking at aliasing and filters, making sure that when a filter had such high resolution that it stepped through, you'd never ever notice a step because it had to hit the harmonics correctly. So they looked at all of that stuff, and that would have taken them years, I reckon, to sort of program that into algorithms. It would have just been painstaking. So yeah. Chatties, what are they saying? Someone's found a System 8 for $1,000. I can't remember how much I paid for mine. I bought mine new. I think it was about 2,000 Australian. So what's that? £1,000? That's. I think I got mine pretty cheap actually. Another synth we never really mentioned was the JX series, the JDXA and the JDXI. They're not really kind of VAs, but they've got that supernatural engine in them, and they've got the analog in them, so they're kind of a hybrid. I think someone might have mentioned it early in the show. They're great. They were great synths. And I don't know what you guys think, but do you guys think that the JDXA was kind of... Was it a synth that was before its time? Do you reckon if Roland never released it and they released it now, do you reckon they'd all be sort of going nuts over it? Because it's got like a 4-voice analog in it, and it's also got the 2-part digital monster, you know, supernatural synth in it. Maybe if it didn't have the supernatural, maybe it had the Zen core in there or the ACB in there. What do you think? Would the JDXA be better today with what they know now, as opposed to when they brought it originally out?
I think it'd sell better today than it would have done, than it did do. Just with the different hybrid synths coming out and things like that. I think when they brought it out, it was like a sort of a sort of synth. But now I think it'd have done better now. You know, if it was bringing it out now, slightly revamped, and it was something new from them. But I think when they came out, it was just a bit of a meh synth at the time.
Yeah. What about like the Korg, some of the Korg stuff? So like I've talked before about the Korg M3, which is a digital synth, and then we've talked about the newer ones that came out after the Cronus series and all that sort of stuff. And then there was that King Korg one. Now, is the King Korg a VA? I'm pretty sure it is, isn't it? No one's mentioned the King Korg.
Yeah, it is. I can say for sure. I considered it once, but I didn't get one. But yeah, according to the demos, it's pretty good. It's pretty good.
Yeah.
And if we talk about, yes, I wonder why we have so much Roland discussion here. We didn't cover much of Yamaha and Korg. And as for Korg, if you consider their latest workstations like Cronus, I know that I think in Cronus they have everything. They have just like Intel Atom CPU inside. Do you remember these? It were on the net tops.
Yeah.
So they have kind of Intel CPU inside, and everything is done on this CPU. I read some article when the kind of development chip told that they achieved that because they were programming things close to the chip, very optimized kind of assembly code, and it does everything just. It's not like a computer because it runs this optimized code, but it does everything just on a single CPU, which is pretty amazing.
Yeah. Now, before I forget, I do want to quickly mention a big thank you to Adamski for the super chat that popped in a little while ago. It kind of got past all the stuff that's happening in the show, so big massive thank you for that. And also that will go on the into the beer fund, the beer drinking fund. Someone mentioned that we talked too much about Roland. I don't think we did. We talked about the Radius, I showed a video of the MS2000. I think we gave Korg a bit of love. I mean, there was definitely quite a bit of talk about the Korg stuff. I mean, I don't think we've talked enough about Virus. I mean, we mentioned it very briefly at the start when I talked about the Virus A. So yeah, the Access Virus stuff they were probably the kings of virtual analog, really, when you think about it, from late 2000 and sort of 6, 7, somewhere around there, up until probably recently, 2016, 17, and then they kind of sort of dropped off, haven't they, in the more recent years? But even still today, if you look at the price of, like I said earlier, the TI2, they are so expensive still. Like, you're looking at thousands still to get one of those used, and so they're holding their value. So if anyone wanted a camera to go off. No, if anyone wanted a virtual analog synth, they're going to probably be one of the better ones to choose. I just have to keep turning it on. I think it's overheating because it's not like someone said, I've got the power saving feature on. If it was power saving, it would happen on a set time. It's coming on and off. So we'll have to sort that out. I don't know why it's doing it. It's a brand new camera too. Might be dodgy. Who knows? Yeah, someone said I didn't mention Akai. No, I didn't mention Akai. I actually didn't really. I mean, we're not going to mention every single synth manufacturer that made a VA because that would be here till 1 in the morning for me. It's already 15:15 midnight here where I'm living. But Akai, yep, they who was it that mentioned Akai? But I saw it mentioned somewhere. Where was it? Miniac or something, was it? Yeah, I can't remember. It's scrolled past, now it's gone. Someone mentioned, whoever it was mentioned that said Akai, say it again in the chat and we'll mention it because they did some, they definitely did some stuff. So yeah. We're probably going to have to wrap the show up though because we've been streaming for 2.5 hours. So quickly get your Akai one in before we finish up. Guys, I just wanted to say, if it's, yeah, Miniac, there you go, Miniac. Yeah, so no, awesome Mac, no script, apart from my camera overheating, which is going to be an issue, which I just spent a lot of money on this camera too. It's probably because it's actually really quite hot here. Like, I don't know if you guys can see, but I'm absolutely dripping in sweat. You guys are probably thinking, what? It's freezing where I am. What do you mean? It's like 30 degrees. Right now it's midnight, it's 30 degrees where I am. So I've got literally shorts and a t-shirt and no shoes on. This is Australia. This is what we live. This is how we live. So these cameras are probably, they've never really been tested in these weather conditions. So we'll see. Yeah, the glitch has been good. So whatever I did, whatever you guys did, all the suggestions that came through, it's obviously working. So we've got the stream back on. I think the videos have been coming through. They're nice and clear. Darren looks, you can see right up his nostril there, so that's good. Oleg, yeah. So you got to remember, Oleg's from Russia, Darren's from the UK, Dean's from the UK, Henrik's from Denmark, and I'm from Australia, you know, and it's all coming through my poor little internet connection here, so it's holding up. It's doing all right. It's doing all right. So you was going to tell us about 2600. What would you like to know? Oh, what happened to it? Yes. So yeah. I ordered it through Gear for Music, and then they kept sending me emails saying it's going to be delayed, going to be delayed, going to be delayed. And then they sent me this email saying, now we actually don't know when it's coming. So here's your options, blah, blah, blah. And I went, here we go. So I reached out to one of the local music shops here in Australia, and I said, guys, have you got the same issue with the ARP 2600 with Behringer stock? And they said, no, we're getting some in about 2 weeks' time. Put your order in. I went, right, Gear for Music, cancel my order. This shop in Australia, here's my order. And literally, actually, they said, no, they didn't say 2 weeks, they said 4 weeks, sorry. They said 4 weeks. And then 2 weeks later, this guy on one of my forums that I'm on messaged me and said, they've got them in the store. Have you got yours yet? And I went, no. So I messaged the shop and I said, guys, you've got them in stock in the store and I still haven't got mine. What's going on? And the guys go, oh, and gave me some bullshit excuse. In other words, they stuffed up my order. And within about 2 days, it was here. So that all happened within like last week, and I got it sort of early this week. Yeah, quite happy. It's exactly what you'd expect. So if you know anything about ARP 2600s, they are what they are. They're a beautiful synth. I mean, obviously I would prefer to have a real one, or whether you could argue that a Korg is a real one or the Behringer is a real one. I mean, what I'm talking about a real one, I'm talking about a real ARP one. But obviously I can't afford that, so this is the next best thing. One of the things I'll say is I don't know how to use all of it yet. And I know a fair bit about modulation and synthesis and stuff like that, but there's some things in here that I haven't even touched yet. Like, for example, I've got to get my hands on this envelope follower. Like there's actually a preamp on this thing, and you can actually put an audio signal through there, and it uses the audio signal as an envelope follower. Oh, and that's kind of how they did the R2D2 voice, right? So I haven't even tried that. I haven't tried the voltage processor. I haven't tried the mults. The reverb's a bit shit because it's digital, but I haven't even tried the stereo output yet. So there's a heap of things that I haven't tried. But you've heard Equinox on it, so it can't be that bad. It sounds like Equinox. Yeah.
Ramsey.
Yeah.
If I can come in, is that okay?
Yeah.
Just want to just show people, if you are going to get the because I've got my one over here, and I don't think Ramsey. There's a guy on eBay, and it showed up on what is it on the Behringer site that this guy made these cases, and they're really cool.
Yeah,
so
they are.
It's got the like casing on it.
It looks like an art case too.
Yeah, it's really really good. So yeah, that was just one little thing I wanted to throw in there. It is really great sounding. It really definitely is. So that's what I wanted to interject.
You'll have to let us know about that case. Maybe we can post a link in the description later on or whatever, Dean. So do that. Now, for those who are wondering, these are just the standard what they call tabletop rack stands, and they're sort of like £30, £40, $60 Australian. They're really really cheap. This particular one I got through Amazon. In fact, if you're interested if you are getting an ARP and you haven't got anything to put it on, these are actually really really good. One of the things I like about them is I like the angle that it's on. I think it's the perfect angle. When I first got this, you can actually sit it on your desk and it's kind of sloped. I don't like that at all. It's like it just goes deep forever, and it's unusable like that. But where it's mounted like that, it's perfect. And it's almost exactly the same camber as the rack brutes. You'll notice too. It's kind of they almost sit the same. So that's kind of cool. Yeah. Now chatties, quick one with chatties. So Max said the desktop stands are good. So he's kind of saying the same thing. We're on the same wavelength there, mate. Beautiful. I think we should wrap up the show, guys. I think we've been streaming long enough. I don't normally do 2.5 hours. I don't know if I do. I try not to do 2.5 hours. I mean, these guys are getting tired here. They've been on the calls for that many hours, so we've got to think about them. Darren, we'll start with you. Start signing off. You do a plug for your music that you're doing tomorrow or whatever.
I'm not sure what'll be coming out tomorrow. Probably, if I can, Darren's Grand Techno Piano track is coming out tomorrow. If I'm lucky. If I've not got caught up still doing this studio cutting and hacksawing and whatever.
My camera's gone dead, so I'll just keep going. So good luck with that, matey. We'll go to Oleg. Big thanks for coming on, mate. I know you actually had to work today, and so you're probably even at your workplace right now, aren't you?
Yeah, I do, but my workday is finished. So yeah, thanks for having me. It was a great show.
Yeah, it was good having you back on. Now, is there any news about the Blue Art becoming? When do you think it might be a public release for that? How far away are we? Not to put you on the spot. You don't have to give us a date.
Well, I hope to make it in March, but I think it will be delayed because I still have stuff to do. I will release this control software, I think pretty soon, maybe in a week, to the beta testing team. Just an application which will control the whole hardware, like the plugin. And then I have these concerns about the buttons, because these clicky buttons, they just do not feel kind of premium enough. So I will probably try to an alternative design with different push buttons.
Okay, and then there's the knob Watergate saga, Knobgate.
And this, I ordered several different ones, but they're good enough, so I'll try some other ones. Yeah, so this picking up the hardware components it's really a long journey.
Yeah, I've got one. Did you see the one I showed you?
Yeah, I saw it. I didn't find the exact one on AliExpress, something like that. So I think I'll order some more and try how they fit.
Yeah. The one I found has got the blue cap on it. Let me just see if I can share it with everyone in the channel. This is one of the cool things about being involved in beta testing and stuff like that. You get to have a say in this kind of stuff. It's cool fun. I enjoy it. Is that it? There, 1 second. I'll just keep your face up there, Oleg, because it's related to you. Now, hopefully, I don't crash the stream by dropping a file into this. No, it worked. Yay! There's the knob. Not saying you're a knob, Oleg. You're definitely far from it. But there's the reason why I liked it is because it had a blue top, and the blue I thought was quite a good blue. Like there's all different shades of blue, and that's quite a good blue. And it's got the black, so it kind of worked. And I'm just waiting for mine to come in. Yeah, I'm just waiting for mine to come in. So we'll see what happens.
Cool, because I googled for that. Only found it in the Australian shop.
Yeah, and it's expensive. Yeah, it's like $1 Australian. So trust me, I will be able to find them for you. Yeah, it'll be AliExpress. They'll definitely be there. Those little caps, by the way, are removable too. You can actually change them. You can change the colours. So yeah, and it's a D based shaft as well, so it'll fit beautifully on yours. Fantastic. All right, thanks for coming along, Oleg, and I'm just going to put you across to Dean. Big thanks to you, Dean. Anything you want to say quickly before we finish?
Everyone for coming today, the chatties and everybody, and meeting new friends that I hadn't met yet. And I apologise for my audio, but I've got a new studio ready to go. Just in case. It's got everything: microphone, guitar, the whole lot. Unfortunately, Randy, it won't suit you because it has no camera. So.
Oh mate, you could get a GoPro to clamp on there or something. You'd be alright. Darren, you could use that on the park bench, mate, with your Bastel.
It's portable. It's even got a handle. How
Bastel handle.
Great, isn't it?
Yeah,
like that. Storage space.
Is it going to circuit break that as well?
Yeah, circuit break that. Yeah, put a VA in it.
Oh, that'd be great. Yeah.
Put a Raspberry Pi in there.
Great
Fantastic.
idea.
Oh, that was lovely, mate. Well done.
Can I just say, I would like to say is so everyone knows is I'm going to be building up another YouTube channel myself and doing stuff. The audio is just only yesterday we started hitting at the audio and all of the routings and stuff. So it's been a bit of a nightmare. I'm hoping by next week things will be, getting much more on case now. I can be able to play the sounds of some of these beautiful synthesizers on the show, and that'd be wonderful to do. And if anyone wants to connect, if I can be of any help to anybody, I'm on Facebook, and it's Dean D-E-N-E Meep the Roadrunner Bridges. It's Dean Meep Bridges. So if I can help you out in any way, of any experience I've got, because I've found what's been useful for me is to talk to other people about like what to buy, hence the VPC thing,
Well, it's lovely of you. Awesome. All right, and when you get your YouTube channel up, we'll give it a good plug too, mate, and we'll put your link in the description as well. Rightio, and then not last and not least is Enric, and thanks for coming on, mate. It's always nice to have you on. So yeah, do you want to say anything before we finish the show?
Only that we are developing 2 new patch libraries for a few plugins, and we're working hard on that. They will be released on first. It's European Sound Collective, and a collective of people from Europe who make patches, and we will release them on Triple Spiral Audio and Plugin Guru. But it will take some time yet.
Yep. Fantastic. Sounds good. Well, make sure you keep us in the loop with that, because we'll definitely give it a plug when it's all ready to be released. That's awesome. Be interested. Definitely. I think it's time we did a bit of what's going on there. The cameras are going to die on me. do some glitching music. Yee! I might just go to here anyway. I think it's time we did some software stuff on the show anyway. I was going to say big thank you to Wagoo for his super chat before we finish up. And last but not least, I want to plug the
definitely Matrix.
It is definitely, yeah, some glitch in the Matrix. It's the camera. I want to try. I might just restart it. Let's try it. You guys can still hear me anyway. I want to plug the Pro Synth Network show that's on. Now, if you guys haven't watched that, that is on now on Friday. Guys in the chat will be able to tell us what time it is on Friday. There you go, let's fix it up. Hey, just restart the camera. Yeah, so Pro Synth Network is now on the Fridays. Go make sure you go check it out. They've got the one that's just been. They had a really awesome guest. It was Michelle from Moog, and got some really good guests. They actually have access to a lot of cool people because of the people that are in the industry. Chris was on the chat before. I don't know if he's still around, and Robbie's in there now. So make sure you guys do. If you haven't actually checked out the Pro Synth Network, I'll put a link in the description of this video later. You can go check it out. If not, they're on Facebook too. Great bunch of guys, and we have to get one or two of them back on to this show, sort of see how they're all going. Anyway, big thank you to everyone. Thanks for watching the show. Please say good day to Jamie tomorrow, and say hi to your mum for me. See you later. I wonder if this button works. No, that doesn't work. We'll just fade to black. See ya.